Do. Yves Edwards, ladies and gentlemen. Hello, sir.
Hey.
Good to see you, brother. What's going on?
Everything and nothing, man.
Everything and nothing.
Yeah.
You were telling me this is a crazy time for you. You're a vagabond. You're traveling around, man.
Yeah.
Like a gypsy.
I like the term nomad.
Nomad's good. That's a good
vagabond
term.
makes it sound like I'm poor and I got
Right.
stick with my clothes tied in a bag.
Yeah, nomad's like a gypsy with money.
Yeah.
No, but is that a derogatory term? It didn't used to be. I think it might be now. They can say it. Like King of the Gypsies is Tyson Fury. He's allowed to say it.
He's allowed to say it.
Might be one of them things.
Yeah, we got a word like that.
A lot of people do. Those words are expanding. There's more of those words than before.
Who can see, I'm gonna get in trouble right now. Can midgets call themselves midgets?
I don't know, man. I don't know. That's a good one. That used to be a normal one. You know, you know what's really crazy? If you look at when kids were born with Down syndrome, the original term was mongoloid idiot. That used to be like they would put that on birth certificates.
Like, like when you say the original term, are any of those people still alive? Like, is that still on somebody who's alive's birth certificate?
That's a good question. Do people with Down syndrome live less? They don't live as long, right?
I think that's the case.
Yeah. You don't see a lot of older people with Down syndrome. I don't know. We're tightening up the word. I just can't wait till we can read minds. So all this nonsense just go out the window. I think once we could read minds and then you just see intent and there's no like words, like because right now it's just words that convey intent and some of those words are forbidden, but some of those words have like bitch, perfect example. Like you could say that's a bad bitch. Yeah. Like this bitch is crazy. Like or this bitch is fine. You could say this bitch is hot. This bitch is cool. That bitch is so cool. Or you could say, oh, my God, this girl's a bitch. You know?
Yeah, the connotation's completely different.
There's so many of them. There's so many different ones.
Words, man. Words is a hard thing. I remember one time Joe Schilling and I were talking about words and perceptions and like your shirt. Your shirt is green, right? But if I were to be in your consciousness, well, I see your shirt, and what I see it as red, but I know it is green.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Do we see
sure.
the same colors as the same thing?
No, we don't. You have no way of knowing, right?
Right.
I have no way of knowing what. Like some people are into weird shit, like yellow cars. Right?
That's not weird though.
That's weird. For all the colors to paint a car, like why the fuck do you want a yellow car? Like a nice car. Like you see like a yellow Corvette. Like what the fuck are you doing to that Corvette?
I swear you were going to say something different. I swear I was like, he's like, people listening to people into weird shit. I thought you were going to say like scat or something. But
well, they're definitely into that.
Yellow cars, that's not so bad.
Yeah, but I mean, I don't know what they're seeing. Like to me, a yellow car is like, it's unfortunate. You know, like why would you do that color? Like maybe it was on sale because of the shitty color. I think that.
So yellow cars should cost less.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, unless you have trying to make a point, like your car's like a bumblebee or something. You know, like you got black stripes and yellow and.
See, that would be cool. Yeah. On a Bug, on a Mustang. I don't know what else. I think those are the only two cars that really should be yellow.
A Mustang? Ugh.
Like if you're gonna paint it like with some flames on it. I don't even like Mustangs.
You don't like Mustangs?
I'm not a big muscle car guy. I do like sports cars. I'm not crazy about muscle cars.
Somebody needs to indoctrinate you into the world of muscle cars. I bet you just haven't seen the right ones.
You know, I think that comes from where I grew up because like you need a lot of open road. For that, and we don't have that in the Bahamas. Like, especially not where I'm from. Like I'm not a big fan of like choppers. I don't like.
Yeah, those
them.
seem silly to me. They seem like you can't turn.
Yeah. I like crotch rockets and dirt bikes.
This shit drives me crazy. the ape handles, when you're holding, if you don't know, for people just listening, they have handlebars that are above your fucking head.
Yeah, you're hanging.
You're driving around like this. Yeah. And if you have to turn quick, you're fucked. Like, how can you get away from shit? And once it goes bad, like you're not going to recover.
Yeah, I would think they would have like a secondary handlebar just so that you don't have to ride like that.
So you get tired, have some shit right over the gas tank.
That folds out.
Yeah.
Like we can do that. We could patent that and make that and probably make millions of dollars.
Somebody's I feel like steal that crotch rockets seem safer because they're more maneuverable.
Yeah.
Like you can handle those motherfuckers. Like those things move good.
Yeah, especially, I mean, that's what they're designed for, right? If you control it at high speed. I saw this video of a motocross I don't know what you call when crotch rockets are racing, but these guys were racing, and this dude was like, he was losing it, and he got thrown off.
I saw that.
But he was on his knees.
Got sideways.
Yes.
Yeah. He hung on there,
man,
and he looks like he was still giving it the gas.
Yeah,
yeah.
I don't know what the rules are like cutting the track,
right?
But like if he wasn't disqualified, that was a ninja move.
How do you get back on though? You'd have to slow down.
You have to, right? You got to do a ninja move. You got to hit the brake real hard so you slam and then your body shoots into the air, land back on the bike.
Hit the brake and pop your hips up at the same time.
Like something you see on the Fast and Furious.
I'm scared of bikes.
I don't know how to ride.
You don't know
I
how
can ride
to
a bicycle, but I can't ride a motorcycle. I've never ridden a crotch rocket. I've only ridden scooters.
You know, they're making them electric now. You won't even, there's no gears. It's just like a Tesla.
But I don't know. The whole thing about riding a bike is being able to control it, isn't it?
Well, you can still control the speed, but you're not going to be able to shift gears. You don't have to do the shit with your left foot where you're going with the clutch and up and down and all that jazz. You have to learn how to do that. You don't have to do that with one of those things. It's just
okay.
Yeah, they're gonna be fucking ridiculously fast too.
I feel like I would be like the guy on, like when you go to Dave and Buster or something on the motorcycle video game. You know?
Yeah, in Europe, they're making cars, like electric cars, have noise. You have to have noise like a regular car, so that people can hear you. That's dumb.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, you're not riding on the sidewalk, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Well, I mean, I guess it's if people are crossing streets and shit.
Maybe also, I don't know what the rules in Europe are for riding motorcycles, but I don't know. Do you hear guys when they're riding on in between lanes? You know what I mean?
I don't hear them all the time. There's a lot of times where you have to look in LA. That's when I grew up in Boston, and you couldn't do that. That's not legal. Everybody has to stay in a lane.
Really?
Yeah.
In Texas, it's legal.
Oh, splitting lanes?
Yeah. So
I wonder how often it's legal versus illegal. Well, there's a lot of states that you don't have to wear helmets.
Yeah, Texas was one of them. I don't know if that's changed. I know Louisiana is one.
That's crazy. Last time I was in Miami, I was watching dudes fly by me on the highway with no helmet on.
Yeah. Oof. I don't know though. I mean, do you want a helmet on? You hit something at 90 miles an hour?
I don't know. I mean, yes and no. It's like I think sometimes people make it. You know?
Yeah. But like, what about you get all that pain?
What's
and
this,
then
Jamie?
You die?
California remains the only state to allow lane splitting.
Oh,
wow.
So I guess it's no longer in
I think you can just do it whenever you want. It's on the motorcyclist to be take your own risk.
Oh, so in California it's legal.
Yeah.
But in all the other places it's just you just kind of do it.
Probably, yeah. I mean. Yeah.
It's weird. So it's immediately crossing the state line. Unless nobody crosses the state line.
It has Texas, Oregon, and Nevada here too. I don't know. Maybe it's partially legal there or something.
Certain cities.
Areas, yeah. Freeway maybe only or something.
Like traffic laws, it's weird traffic laws being different, like so different in every state. Mm-hmm. I was in Texas a couple days ago, and I'm driving, and I'm getting over because the cops pulled somebody over on the highway, and the passenger, she's like, why are you getting over? Like, you don't have to do that, but in Texas, you're supposed to. If you can get over, you're supposed to get over and give them that lane berth. Otherwise, you slow down to like 10 miles below the speed limit or whatever. But like in D.C., Maryland, where she's from, it's like you don't have to do that. So but it's like if I'm from Maryland, I'm in Texas, and I do that, and then another cop's behind me, I'm getting a ticket. Because if you don't know the law, it's still not their fault, right?
Right.
It's your fault for not knowing.
Did you see the Hong Kong protests that are going on?
No.
There's crazy protests going on in Hong Kong. But what's amazing is there was an ambulance, and the ambulance was trying to, I mean, there's giant crowds on the street. I mean, fucking thousands, if not a million people, right? They part like the sea for this ambulance. It's crazy. Like, if that shit was happening in America, good luck. You can blow that horn all you want. What is this, Jamie?
We're going to have to run.
That's it. This it?
You know?
Yeah.
Why does it say North Point and not like Chinese characters on the street?
Yeah. You sure this is the one?
Hong Kong, I mean.
Hong Kong protesters block road, make way for ambulance. I saw an overhead shot of it. It was more impressive because it was this giant sea of people, and they all just made way, and everybody got right the fuck out of the way for ambulances.
It's like when a predatory fish swims through like a small school.
Oh, here it is.
Yeah, this is
what I saw. Yeah. So these people just open up. Good luck trying that shit in America. I mean, these people are so polite.
There's millions of protesters there. I heard like 2 to 3 million or something.
Yeah, what are they, do you know what they're protesting over? I can't.
Not
There's so
exactly.
much outrage worldwide. I can't keep track.
Man, yeah, there's stuff going on everywhere. You see that? There's stuff in Sudan right now.
Everywhere.
You know,
Every part of the world is up in arms. Gaza. There's a bunch of shit going on
that's
there
been
right
going
now.
on forever.
You know, there's new, more recent shit. It's exhausting.
Yeah, like, why can't people just not be assholes, right?
It's impossible. That's what we need, this mind reading software.
The problem with that is like then you're just reading the mind of assholes.
Maybe, but maybe people can let you know, like, hey man, you don't have to think like that. Your
Yeah.
problem is the way you're thinking. Because that's 90% of the problem with people is the way they think, and
Yeah.
then they act on the way they think. I don't know if it's 90%. I'm not a mathematician. Just threw that number out there. What?
The thing
It's
that
a lot.
popped up yesterday I showed you is sort of on the way to what you're talking about.
How your friends can play a video game together using only your minds. Oh, okay. This is what you were talking about after the show.
Yeah.
Telepathic communication. Yeah, this is the future. 100%. There's going to be a time where we share some sort of. I think it's going to be some sort of a universal language. They're going to create a language that's based like on images or things that are culturally, like it could cross boundaries. Like people from other countries are going to be able to understand it. You'll be able to understand it.
It has like Google Translate in it.
Yes, I really think that. I think there's going to be a language. I mean, like, do you ever see someone's tweet? I read tweets from people all the time from different countries. It's kind of cool that you could like see some Russian shit, and then just say translate the tweet, and you get a chance
Yep.
to try to figure out what this guy's saying.
Yeah, I've seen that a couple of times, and then especially with some of my teammates, friends, Brazilian guys, and they will have it in Portuguese, but they will also have it in English
Yeah,
themselves.
a lot of Brazilian guys do that. It's
But
very
then when you
smart.
translate it, it moves words that are already in the English translation. It makes it like screwed up. It makes it like the grammar's all messed up.
Yeah.
It's really weird. I don't know why it even touches the English if you're bringing it to that language.
Yeah, that's the problem with languages, right? Like the way they say things is different.
Yeah.
So trying to translate something into English, you have to take some sort of editorial license. You would have to move things around. What you're trying to say is this. You can't just translate it.
Yeah. Yeah, especially because of like where we place like prepositions and different, like there's some like there are some languages where they don't have the word off. Like they don't say turn off the light. It's like when they speak in English, they say kill the light. You know?
Well, that's the way. I mean, you can still get it. But yeah, if they don't have an off word, like I would imagine that Asian language is going to be the hardest, right? Because they have characters. They don't even have letters. You know?
Yeah, their alphabet's so much bigger, and their characters can mean so many different things. This little piece of a character combined with this changes
Everything.
each one individually.
Yeah.
Like it's like this one is water and this one is fire, and you put them together and it's chocolate.
When you were fighting, what was the place? How many different times did you travel overseas to fight?
6 or 7, something like that.
What was the weirdest place?
Weirdest, most different was Japan.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't say it was weird.
Just different.
Just different.
Yeah.
Very different. It was like being in the future sometimes. Right?
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
Like Tokyo. Yeah.
Like I don't know. It was a lot of fun. The different things they do. The weirdest thing about being over there was that pachinko game. Like
What's a pachinko game?
It's like these people they play. It's like a gambling game, and they have these buckets of like ball bearings, and they put them in the game. And I don't even know what the rules are, but you see like older and middle-aged Japanese people, they just sit there for hours just playing, and you win, and it's like winning a slot. It's like a slot machine kind of, right? So when you win, like you get a bunch of these balls back. I swear to you, if you like, I don't know if Jamie pulled up like something, but I think it's Pachinko.
Oh, so here's a guy who's
Yeah,
Japan's biggest gaming obsession explained. Pachinko.
They're like putting ball bearings in there, and they just go.
They're all
hours.
there's so many people wearing masks. That's the other weird thing about Asia, right?
Yeah.
A lot of people like to wear those masks. So that's the game? That thing that they're this weird. How's it work? Did you play it?
No, I mean, I don't know what you're trying to do. Like everything's in Japanese. That's the currency for the game.
What?
Those ball bearings. I really don't understand.
Can't believe I'm just finding out about this.
And you'll see somebody sitting there, and they will have buckets like this big, like square rectangular buckets, and they'll have like 2 or 3 stacks of them next to them. They just reach down, drop them in the machine, and that's how they play. I don't know what they're doing though. I don't understand it at all. I want to play it, but then I'm like, it looks stupid. I don't want to win ball bearings. What am I going to do? Put it in my car?
Yeah, what the fuck? Look at that. It's so strange. A bucket. This guy's just taking fists of ball bearings and throwing them into this machine, and then they're bouncing around like a pinball machine turned up on its side.
Yeah, I don't understand it at all. I don't know. Like, what's the value on those ball bearings?
Dude, I don't look. Every time I go to Vegas, every time I go through a casino, I freak out. I just see those people. I feel like they're wasting their life playing those goddamn slot machines.
Yeah. But the first time I fought in Vegas, I played a slot machine. That was the only time this was the first time I gambled. Like in the Bahamas when I was growing up, also Bahamians couldn't even gamble in the Bahamas. But then I came here and I was in Vegas and I was like, I want to play slots, but I was like against gambling, so I played the nickel slots for a while. I won $20 on nickel slots. I remember shaking my winnings in people's faces like,
that's hilarious. You got to go to like Circus or someplace to play the nickel slots.
Yeah.
You ever go to that place?
I've stayed at Circus before.
That's a window into history. I go to Circus every time I go to Vegas with my kids because my youngest daughter likes going there. She likes playing all those stupid carnival games. She thinks it's hilarious. She's 9, you know?
Yep.
So she likes shooting water at the thing and the balloon pops and all that stuff. So we always go there. But it's always, and then they do like a circus show. Well, they'll have like a clown and trapeze artists. But it's like, no disrespect, but it's kind of second rate. You know, like the trapeze guy's got a gut.
Yeah, well, I mean, especially when you,
you know, he's a little thick around the middle. His best days of flipping around through the air are over.
He's got the big gut, the long arms,
stretched out arms.
About. Yeah. That's I don't know. It's especially when you say second rate, especially when you compare to like Blue Man Group or what's going on at like Mandalay or MGM or something.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's. You're still on the Strip. You're not on Fremont. Like Fremont is like second rate Vegas.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
It's very different.
Very weird.
I remember, and like I know I'm gonna probably catch some flack for this, but I got to tell you this story. Like I was there one time, and I'm telling my friends about I'm like, this is weird because I've never really been to Fremont until this time in Vegas, and I was like, man, why aren't we on the Strip? This is just so weird being out here. I was there for some fights. I was like, everything is just a little different. I mean, like everything's really different. I mean, look, like even the women, like look at that girl. She's so like her body. She has a great body, right? It's like so fine. Then she turned around, and she's like. Her face is just like ruined, you know. Like it's not my fault. I mean, she wasn't attractive to me, and I'm sure she's attractive to somebody.
Isn't it funny that it's hard to say that these days? You used to be able to say someone's ugly. You can still say a dude's ugly. Nobody gives you a hard time. You can still say a dude's fat or a dude's ugly. Everybody's like, fine, no
People
problem.
Call me fat all the time. Man.
No one has a problem with that.
Yeah,
fat and ugly for a guy is fine. But if you say a girl's fat, you're body shaming. If you say she's ugly, you're a fucking sexist piece of shit and you're objectifying her.
Yeah, it's really hard. I mean, like there was this lady who's a singer. Her name is Lizzo, right? Big lady, a bigger lady, plus size woman. Right? And
she that woman that was on the BET Awards?
Yes.
She's fucking talented.
Yes.
Woo.
Right? And like, see, here's the thing. Like, yeah, she's a plus size woman. Some people think that's overweight, but I'm like, she's not obese. So it's like, I mean, she's like grotesquely obese. I guess that's how you say it.
Right.
Not grossly obese.
She could lose a few pounds.
She could if she wanted to. There's definitely plenty of guys in the world who that suits, you know?
Yeah.
There are some guys my size who that suits. There's some guys who are like linebacker or lineman size who that suits. But then there are like nobody complains about the petite woman, but like what about like the big linebacker guy who's into petite women? Like
well, you know that dude, the Mountain from Game of Thrones?
Yes.
His girlfriend or his wife or whatever she is, she's like 3 feet tall. It's hilarious. And he's a fucking giant.
Yeah. Yeah, like you see that sometimes. I think the guy that played Chewbacca, the original Chewbacca, I think his wife was a tiny woman. Like not like a midget or anything, but I'm in trouble now.
Yeah, that's the mountain.
Oh, wow.
That guy. Actually, you know what? She might be normal size.
Yeah, he's a big
so
guy.
fucking big. Well, she's got heels on there at a gala, but he's so fucking big. Like that right there. That looks like me with my 9-year-old.
Yeah.
It does. It does. That's height-wise. That guy's so goddamn big, it's ridiculous.
Like if you cut off his body where her head is, he would still probably be twice her size, twice her weight.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Yeah. The big fella. Yeah, he's always entering. Those strongman competitions are the most ridiculous thing to watch. You know, whenever I'm like bored flipping through the channels and I catch some dude throwing a beer barrel over a fucking pole, you know, it's like there's always a suspended pole and they're throwing it over the top of it like a high jump pole. It's so ridiculous.
Yeah, I mean, but those type of competitions you talk about like that. There's that, and then you have that for the athletic or dynamic people like American Ninja Warrior.
Yeah. Oh, that's
Ninja Warrior.
That's fucking interesting, man.
Yeah.
Those Ninja Warrior shows are crazy. You watch those guys, and you go, that is some serious fucking athleticism to be able to do that.
Yeah, that's a whole sport now. Like they create gyms based around that, and people are like training for it. Like people are training for the trials.
Yeah. No, I can imagine. There's probably I wonder. I'd like to know like who's the best at that weight class wise. I bet it's guys that are like 160 pounds and under.
Yeah.
Because you could carry yourself easy. Like we did a stunt on Fear Factor once where you had to they were off a bridge and they had to hold themselves like on a chin-up bar over a bridge, and the girls all beat the guys.
Wait, they were
just hanging.
Just hanging, not
just
pulling
hanging.
themselves.
Nope.
Oh, okay.
Just hanging.
Huh.
Just holding on. The girls all beat the guys. All 3 guys fell. Now, it was like, part of me was like, maybe these guys are just bitches. But part of me was like, well, the thing is, like, the guys, they're pretty big dudes. They're all around 200 plus pounds. And, that's a lot of weight in your hands. And the girls are like 120, 110, 105. It's not as much weight.
There's a genetic thing between men and women where there's some things that like we see these in sports and whatnot. There are some sports that are just much more fun to watch when men are playing. There's some sports that are much more fun when women are playing. There's some sports that are both, right?
Right.
But there's something, I forget the test exactly, but it's something about leaning over and picking up a chair. There's a certain posture that you're in, and men can't do it, but women can.
Huh.
Like you can't, but it's like a folding chair, like very, very light chair. I don't know. I don't
leaning over and picking up a chair.
Yeah, so like you're leaning. I think you press your head onto the wall, but arch your back in a certain way, and you just have to use like your lats basically to pick up the chair, and men can't do it.
Really?
Yeah.
How weird.
Yeah, it's like a center of gravity test. I remember doing this when I was
leave
younger.
your butt. Oh,
yeah.
You know, my daughter tried to show me this the other day, trying to get me to touch my toes. Keep my back flat against the wall with the back of my legs against the wall and go down and touch your toes. You just fall forward.
Yeah. It's tough.
See, I had it all backwards. I'm like, you put your butt against the wall, not your head. I'm just not used to sticking my butt up against stuff.
Let me see that. Let me see. Tricks guys can't do. Stand 3 feet away from a wall, bend over, put your head against the wall. Now try to stand up while lifting a chair. Oh, no, you had it.
Okay.
There's a couple different things. So, yeah, it's all based around the center of gravity, though.
Oh.
Yeah, that's the one I'm going to try.
I feel like I could do that.
That's what I said.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think I'm being cocky and saying I could do that. But what if a guy's got like really good core strength?
I don't think it has to do
Just
with your core.
nothing to do with that.
Yeah.
Just all about center of gravity.
Yeah, because I think not most guys, but like you take a bunch of fit guys, they have a good strong core.
They can't do it.
And they can't do it. Like you take
girls,
some average woman.
Congratulations on your victory, ladies. You got us on one.
Yeah. I don't want to like that's one of those sensitive subjects where I'm like I don't want to say anything smart-assed or anything any kind of way because I get myself in trouble.
So much trouble to get into today. So many different things people get mad and upset about.
They did a test with the way that men and women do a one-legged squat, and I guess the way that each of us would go down is completely different when you break it all the way down to that move.
Oh, so like the mechanics?
Yeah. Like
is that because of the hips?
Muscle structure, everything. Yeah, it probably is that, yeah.
But with women, it's so different. The way the shape of their hips, the mechanic, like women kicking That's one. Like for every Valentina Shevchenko that can knock someone out with one kick, you would think that a woman, right, take a 140-pound woman who is carrying 140 pounds with her legs all the time, going up flights of stairs, running, doing all these different plyometrics and shit. You would think that bitch could be able to kick a fucking hole through you. Yeah. See, there's another use of the word bitch. That's okay. It's out of respect. That's not derogatory. But no, like if you see a girl kick a bag, like there's a giant difference between a 140-pound girl kicking a bag and a 140-pound guy. Big difference.
And now is it mostly technique or is it
I think it's biomechanics. I think it's technique. I think it's just muscles. They're just built different. There's just different muscles. Like the hips are like this, right? Woman's hips, especially if a woman has wide hips, right? Their hips go out wide and their legs kind of go in a little bit. Whereas a guy, I wonder if that's responsible for what do they call that? The male spread when dudes sit on a subway.
They spread the legs.
They man spread. Yeah, they man spread. And people get real mad because they want to sit next to you.
Yeah.
And your legs are all splayed out. You're being rude. But if a dude has no one next to him, that's how they sit.
Yeah.
Like their legs spread. I don't think women sit like that. I don't think it goes that way.
No, I don't like sitting like that. That's like sitting in, like, I've sat and coached most of my life, and like it's uncomfortable. Like when you have to sit like that for an extended amount of time, it gets really uncomfortable.
With your legs pinned together?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's weird.
Yeah, and then there's sometimes, but after a while, you just feel uncomfortable inside your pants, and you gotta move stuff around. Yeah. You can't even open your legs to do that.
But with women, I think that's a normal way to sit. I think their body naturally, with their hips in the shape that they are, their legs kind of go towards each other. They kind of point towards the knees. It's more normal for them to sit with their legs together, I think. Does that make sense?
It makes sense. I wonder if it has to do with anything the equipment down there. Also.
Yeah, it probably has to do with not wanting to be a hoe, right? You don't want to sit like this with your legs spread. If a dude sits like that, that's a confident man. But if a girl's sitting there with her legs spread, like, look at this bitch. There's another use of the word bitch.
This isn't a scientific article explaining man spreading. And this is a spinal neurosurgeon's explanation
Thank you, spinal neurosurgeon.
John.
The overall width of the pelvis is relatively greater in females, and the angle of the femoral neck is more acute. These factors could play a role in making a position of sitting with the knees close together less comfortable for men. Exactly. So all you man-spreading people that are shaming men for sitting in a natural way, how dare you? You should be ashamed of yourself.
Yeah, I'm offended.
Yeah. I can't wait until women have all the power so we can just start shitting on them.
See, here's a subtle thing about that. They kind of do, right?
Have some.
It's like, who's the world champion of your house?
Yeah, but that's just happy wife, happy life. That's how you have to run that shit.
Yeah.
Anytime otherwise, I've never seen another situation where it works. Or you have like some woman who's just afraid she can't talk, and you don't want that either.
No.
That shit's not healthy.
It's not healthy. It's not, like, how do you enjoy that?
I don't know. You have to be a sick fuck.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't have, my house is zero designed by me. There's no decorations of mine. I have one mounted elk head. That's it. The first elk I ever shot with a bow and arrow I have mounted. That's it. Everything else, fucking, I don't care. It looks good.
The first time I came through, you gave me some elk meat. I made spaghetti out of it. It was some of the best spaghetti I made ever.
Super good for your body, man.
Really good.
If you could eat that shit all the time. If you lived around here, I'd hook you up all the time.
Yeah, I used to. When I get back, I'm just gonna start hitting you up, asking you for elk meat.
How long are you in town for?
I leave in the morning.
Do you have a place to cook tonight?
Yeah.
I got some food for you.
Okay.
I got some elk sausage that's out of this fucking world.
All right.
Oh, it's good.
Yeah, I'm completely down, man. The first time I was a little hesitant because I was like, well, this didn't come from the store, so I'm like, you know what I mean? But then I took it home, I made it up, and I was just like, oh man, the flavor is so different. Mm-hmm. Like the flavor is different, the texture is different. I don't know. I wanted more.
It's alive. I mean, in terms of like when you're eating it, it just feels like it's got energy. It's got power.
Yeah, like it tastes like it had a good life.
Yeah, man. Like if you're eating some like a pig that lives in a pen, like sad. It's just sadness.
Yeah,
you're eating an elk, especially if it didn't know you were there. Like, that elk had no idea you were there until that arrow hit its rib cage, and then it's dead in seconds. That thing lived a noble life.
Yeah.
You know, and that's the best way it's ever going to die. You don't. I mean, if you're an elk, you don't want to get caught in a valley with some wolves. That shit's rough. That's a rough way to go.
I was talking to your buddy Jeff earlier about that. Like, you got a choice, right? You're gonna, of course, hypothetical. You got a choice. You're gonna get mauled by a bear, a gorilla, or die by a wolf or a tiger. What do you choose?
I take the gorilla all day because I think he's just gonna beat your ass. I don't think he's gonna kill you because I don't think he wants to eat you.
But like the premise of the question is you're gonna die.
Yeah, then the tiger, because the tiger's going to get your neck and kill you quick.
That's my choice also.
Yeah, I think so. Did you see the video of the tiger chasing the dudes on the motorbike?
No.
Oh, in India, it's horrific. These fucking dudes are driving on this road in this wildlife preserve, and this tiger comes full clip, chasing them out of the jungle, and just bails off at the last second. Just can't catch them.
The shit out of
it should. It's fucking horrific. They're so fast, dude.
Like, what do you do, right?
What can you do?
Like, there's nothing you can do.
Unless you have a gun. You're so weak. There's not much you can do.
But then when you think about that, you think about Africa, you think about India, you think about these places where lions and tigers exist, and people have existed since the beginning of time. At some point, someone had to win that, right?
Just numbers, just population numbers. Here's the video. Check this shit out. You're going to freak out. I don't need to see her, Jamie. Here it is. So these guys are on this bike. Look at this thing. Look at this thing. Just says, fuck it. He just tried. He tried. Now, the reason why this is significant is because in India, tigers eat people all the fucking time. They eat them all the time. Like, there's tigers that target human beings. There's a place in India called the Sundarbans. And the Sundarbans is, it's near this river that They think that one of the reasons why the tigers are so irritable is that they're drinking this river water, and the river water has a high degree of salt in it, high level of salt. And so they're irritated all the time.
Yeah.
They're just in agony, and they're particularly vicious. And over the last 200 years, tigers have killed more than 300,000 human beings in this one part of India.
Like, why do you still live there? Like, I'm giving
poor.
them, you know, I'm giving that place to the tigers. Because I see that video, and I imagine being that guy on that bike, and like, you know what a bike seat is like, right?
Yeah.
Could you imagine being on a bike seat with I'm shitting myself.
Yeah, for sure. If you have any shit in your body, it's gonna come out.
Like, there's no way you win that. There's no way you win that. Not today.
No, you don't win. You only win by being on a motorcycle and getting away.
Yeah.
The fact they got a video of it, though.
Yeah. How did he? I hope he had a GoPro. He's like just like riding. Hey.
They get got all the time.
Yeah.
All the time. Especially in India. India, I think, is the worst place in the world for tiger and human interactions.
I don't get that. Like, are the tigers in India bigger? Or
they're
smaller?
just tigers.
Yeah, I know it doesn't matter the size. Like, they're either like 300 or 500 pounds or something like that.
I think the biggest tigers are in Siberia.
Okay.
I think that's the case. Usually with mammals, what happens is the same species, when they're in a hotter climate, tend to be smaller. Depends on the animal, obviously, than they are in the colder climates. It has something to do with preserving body temperature, like deer, for instance. Like, if you get a white-tailed deer from Texas, it's much smaller than a white-tailed deer from Saskatchewan.
Yeah.
It's the same species. Yeah. But way up north, it's just colder, and they'll grow like 300 pounds up there. Whereas like a big whitetail in Texas is like half that size.
Yeah. Yeah, that's people too, right? Mm-hmm. There are certain places where people are just
Iceland.
larger. Yeah.
The mountain guy from Game of Thrones, that motherfucker.
I guess they had a controversial moment. The end of last year into this year, they had a tiger that was known for killing 13 people or more. And so they had a shoot to kill target on it.
Yeah.
And I guess someone got it.
And people are mad?
People were mad.
It killed 13 people and people are mad that someone killed it. People are just fucking weak. They're just so soft.
What if you got the wrong tiger?
Fuck him. Fuck them all. Kill anyone that you get a chance to kill that's close enough to kill you, kill him.
Man, I think I can't get that video of the tiger chasing that bike out of my head. Because like that's another thing. Those things, they're so coordinated. That thing at full speed can take a swipe at that back tire,
and just
and then you're screwed.
And then
like, what do you do? Because what's your first reaction going to be? Like, get up and try and get back on the bike?
There's nothing you can do. There's no way you get the bike going in time. The tiger would be on you so fast. I mean, they could probably run 40 miles an hour, those fucking things.
Yeah.
And it's probably 400 pounds, 500 pounds.
400 pounds of something. An animal is 400 something pounds and runs at twice the speed of Usain Bolt. How is that fair?
I mean, that's why there's not a million deer. You know, the reason why there's not a million deer in that same spot is because of those tigers. They need them. You know, I was in Lanai, which is one of the smaller islands in Hawaii, hunting axis deer. And the axis deer were given to King Kamehameha of Hawaii, like in the 1800s. And when we were over there, you know, you bow hunt these things, and I'm telling you, you've never seen a deer move this fast.
Yeah.
The reason why they're so fast is they evolved to get away from tigers. So when they see you, they make this noise like, and then they fucking scatter, and they're so fast. It's hilarious to watch. Like, wow, they're so fast.
When you say that, like, my brain just starts doing the math, and I'm like, of course, the ones that got caught by the tigers were the slower ones.
Yeah.
So, like, the fastest ones are mating.
Yeah.
And, like, I can only imagine. It's kind of like Olympic sprinter, a female Olympic sprinter marries a NFL running back, and they have a kid.
Woo! Yeah. Look, genetics are real.
Yeah.
I mean, that's one of the reasons why America's becoming softer and softer. Is because what are you getting? You're getting people that sit at a desk all day with fucking herniated discs and a fat belly, drinking coffee and eating donuts, and they marry someone who's just like them, and they barely get their shit together, and they have a kid who watches video games all day and eats cookies, and he's gross, and then he marries another girl who's like that, and next thing you know, you go through this 4, 5, 6 generations, you get piss poor genes.
Yeah, I just recently went home to the Bahamas, and I'm starting to miss it more and more and more, because as I get older, I long for the things that I did as a little kid. I long for the places that I was at as a little kid. And so my family's from this little place called Farmerski Exuma that's 3/4 of a mile by 7/8. I think I've told you that before. And it's tiny. And I was there this time and just seeing, just waking up every morning and just looking out the window and just blue ocean all day. I want to go back there. The people that live there, like, you get a boat at like 14, 15 years old, because there's really nothing that you can do on the island other than interact with your family and fish, right? Everything that you need staple wise, you have to go somewhere else to get it, or it has to be brought in. So, like, I have a cousin who he's older than me. He's like my grandmother's generation, but he's my cousin. He's like 4 years older than me, but like, this guy, he free dives, and he will go down and he will hang out on the water for like 2 or 3 minutes, like with a spear. He doesn't like to scuba. He doesn't like to take a tank with him. One time we're fishing off the back of the boat. He's off the front, and he's like and then on top of that, he's in the water, and he comes out of the water. And he reaches up. He says, "Hey, Julian, bring the boat over here. It's a shark." So, like, there's like and then he goes back down. You know what I mean? There's a shark in the water near him, probably a reef shark, and he's got his spear, and he's just like, "Just get closer," but I'm still fishing. Like, that's the life.
So he just wants to be able to get out if shit goes sideways.
Yeah, I'm assuming, but I'm like
scared. Would you think that it would be safer to be in the water or on top of the water if there was a shark? Like, if you had goggles, you could see the motherfucker. Wouldn't you want to be in the water rather than on top and not knowing where he's coming from? I would think so.
I would think so, but then you, like, not only is it 360, but it's like universal. The view is universal, right?
Right.
But if you're on top of the water and you can see, at least it's like you got your back to the wall.
Yeah.
He can't come from the top.
That's true.
So
that's true. But I don't know.
But at the same time, you're in the water with an animal who that's his natural habitat.
Yeah.
Like, you can't even turn around nearly as fast as he can. He can probably swim around you and come up from the back before you could even turn around.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, they swim pretty fucking fast.
Yeah, they're like ninjas in the water.
They just the cleanup crew, just like that tiger.
So my girlfriend and I were there, and I was feeding the turtles, right? So I try to grab a turtle, and literally the turtle is this big. It's no bigger than this. And I'm about to pick it up. I'm trying to pick it up.
This being like, explain to people.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, probably like
a trash can
16
lid?
inches. Yeah, a trash can lid. No bigger than a trash can lid. And I am trying to pick it up, and this before I can get it out of the water, those big fins, arms that they have, he pulls me down into the water. Like this little thing, he probably weighs 40, 50 pounds. Right? And it's just so powerful in the water. Like if I were to hang on to that turtle, I would be moving faster than I would move with fins on.
Whoa.
Like how is that and I'm like, I don't want to talk about my weight, but I'm a lot bigger than that turtle.
You're getting sensitive?
I'm not at fight weight anymore.
You're eating well. You look good, man. Don't worry about it. Do you think you're gonna move to Bahamas? Do you think you'd live there someday?
Ultimately I'm definitely gonna live back there in my lifetime. You know, if I want to die there.
Whoa.
You know what I mean? I don't necessarily want to die anytime soon,
right? But when you do, you want to live the end of your life there, the relaxed life, island life. Hey, man, I get it. Every time I go to Hawaii, my brain starts spinning. I'm like, can I live here? Why don't I just move here? I'm like, I don't need much, you know.
Did you watch the Steve Jobs movie?
No.
I haven't either, but just recently it was on television, and the opening scene was some guy in like, I don't know, the 70s or 60s talking about computers. When computers were huge, when computers were like those big things that take up an entire room. He's like, yeah, one day, like you can be anywhere in the world and you can work. You could be on a remote island and you can be doing your work and you will get emails. He was talking about emails like in the 60s. You know, He's talking about the internet in the 60s or something. It's on the beginning of the Jobs movie. And
Is that the one with Ashton Kutcher?
No.
I was going to ask which one. There's another one, Michael Fassbender, too, that came out.
I think it's the Fassbender. I don't know what Michael Fassbender looks like.
I know that name, but who's Michael Fassbender?
He's what
was he in?
I think he's like Loki in the Avengers. I think that's him too.
Oh, that makes
Unless
sense.
I'm just mixing somebody up.
I think
that makes sense.
I think that's him. But yeah, that movie, they were talking about that then, and I'm like, you know, and then 2001 was when Jobs came out with the. Yeah, that's him.
Oh, that's no. Is he Loki?
No, he's someone, but I mixed somebody up. But
he's from Prometheus.
Okay,
he's the robot in the Prometheus and Alien series. He's the that guy's excellent.
Yeah.
Oh, so he played Steve Jobs.
A bunch of stuff I just couldn't.
Was Steve Jobs an asshole in the Steve Jobs movie?
Yeah, I mean, I only saw like the first 5 minutes. I'm like, I want to watch this, but
in the middle.
He does look. Yeah, he is in the movie. But the claim is that you have to be an asshole to be like a genius, right?
I don't know if I buy that.
I don't buy it either.
A lot of people who get a lot of shit done eventually run into people that don't get shit done the way they want. And so the only way they figure out how to get shit done with those people is to dominate them.
Yeah, push.
And to yell at them and to, you know, like the Apple deal was that you had to work insane hours too. That's a weird thing, man. If you're going to work for a company, you got a good job. Is it a good job? What's so good about it? That you get money? Where's your life? You don't have a life.
Yeah.
You're working 17 hours a day? Oh, okay. That sucks. That's a shitty job. Even if you're making a lot of money, like a guy who makes less money, but it can take the weekend off and go fishing and hang out with his kids and chill, that's a better life.
Preach it, Joe. Preach it.
That's a better life.
I'm listening. Hallelujah.
That Bahamas life's the way to go.
I'm telling you,
got me
man.
thinking.
when I was at home, it was just nice. Like a fighter's life is kind of like that. I mean, not all the time and not everyone, but you get to do what you love to do, and then you get to do what you want to do.
If you can handle the highs and the lows, with fighters, it's handling the highs with the ego and the lows with the emotions and the letting everybody down and the depression.
That both of those things, that's like those are the extremes.
Yeah.
But that the highs of winning big fights and being admired for something that really truly becomes a part of you, just being yourself.
Yeah.
Like that feels good, but you do put a lot of weight on yourself. In when you lose, like I ain't gonna lie, man. There has been some things on the internet, like when I lost to Hominick, right? It was like, oh, he threw that fight, and I was like that breaks my heart. That hurts.
When
my
someone
heart.
says you threw the fight,
yeah, you know,
yeah, you just can't read that shit. But I know what you mean.
Yeah,
you can't read. There's people that they have crazy theories about nonsense. There's, that's crazy. The idea that you threw a fight, or you would get together with or make a bet against yourself or something stupid like that. So
I just heard at some point, like over the past year or so, I heard an argument that like, well, if a guy doesn't make weight and the other guy gets so much of his purse, like, and he's going to get his win and show money, right? If he's guaranteed his win and show money anyway, then why wouldn't he just throw the fight and get a bonus percentage of the winner's win money? And
that's a moron. That's a moron. Well, not only that,
thank you.
That's not just a moron. It's someone who doesn't understand the psychology of a winner.
Yeah.
Like the thing about a winner is the last thing a winner wants to do is lose on purpose.
Right.
Like and when you have the opportunity, the big thing is winning. You have the opportunity to win. It's right in front of you. And you only get a chance to do this 3 times a year, 4 times a year, 5 if you're Cowboy. Right? Like how many times?
Cowboy's crazy.
He's crazy, but he fights like 5 times a year, right? If he could, he'd probably fight every week.
Yeah.
But the idea that you're going to throw that, the best feeling that you could ever achieve, they're crazy. They just don't understand it. But that's just the problem with the internet, is reading comments. It's just too many morons with ideas.
I used to love the underground, man.
It was great back in the day.
I was like I have the O, what? I think I have double O's. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like being from back then,
Yeah.
Or maybe even a 90. Like at some point they just gave you the number.
I was on in the 90s.
Same here.
Yeah.
So like I don't know if my thing says 99 or 00. I still sign in every once in a while.
Just to check in.
There's
so much toxic conversation. But that's just the internet in general. There's still a lot of good discussions on the underground. I think last time I was on was about a month ago. I went and checked. I was like, Well, like there was some good jiu-jitsu talk. There was some good technique talk about like leg locks and whether or not there's going to be a transition from leg locks because the leg lock game sort of overtook jiu-jitsu. Whether or not it was going to switch to choking, or when there was whether there's going to be a new trend because leg lock defense is so good now. And I'm like, I appreciate that. I appreciate when people are like devoted practitioners and they're really discussing technique but when it's like, this guy's a pussy and he fucking sucks and Ronda Rousey's a fucking bitch and like, God.
Dude, there's so much of that on the internet. It's hard to filter through that to find some good conversation sometimes.
Yeah, it's like, in your life, you would avoid people like that like the plague. Like if there was a guy in your life that wanted your phone number and all he does is complain about things and have stupid theories, you'd be like, get this guy the fuck away from me, right?
Yeah.
But you can't avoid them online.
Yeah, no, online. That's the thing. That being anonymous on the internet, that's some power for some people, man.
Sure.
And that's crazy. Well,
it's also, you got to realize that the people that are executing that power, the people that want and need that power, they're all either young or they're losers. Those are the two. Either young, they don't get it. They're 14. Someone lets them online. They just want to say mean shit because it's fun. Like you got a rock. There's a window. No one's looking. I'm gonna throw this rock.
Yeah,
that's what people do. It's normal. But I don't want to hang out with young kids, and I don't want to hang out with losers.
But see, that's
the problem.
I think there's something with that too. That we know there's something with that where that being anonymous, that's a protection.
Yeah.
But like you see, sometimes that bleeds into their real life. I mean, I saw this video. This kid, he's just like making fun of this older man. He's being rude to this woman. He's making fun of this older man. So the man starts making fun of him too. He's like, meh, 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 meh. And so the kid starts punching him in the arm. And the guy's like, he just turns away and his kid's swinging at him. And this is not like a little kid. He's a little kid. He's not a kid that you would smack because if he started talking smack to you, right? You wouldn't fight him because of that. But then this kid starts punching him and he tells the kid to stop and the kid keeps going. And he grabs him by the throat and he pushes him, right? And the kid falls down and then he starts crying and hey, you assaulted me. And it's like what reality do you live in, man? Like your parents have failed. Like, I'm sorry,
Life failed them. They live in a blurry reality. It's too much online, not enough real world.
Yeah. Like,
not enough getting your ass kicked, too.
That's the thing. Fighting solves everything, man.
It solves a lot of things.
Everything. I hate those people that say fighting. What is that going to solve? Like, everything. I'm telling you. Like, my thing is, like, I don't like going back and forth. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, we're not going to go back and forth. You say something disrespectful, I'm going to say something disrespectful. I'm going to up the ante. And then if you want to keep going, like, man, we can just stop talking right now and go.
Yeah.
You know? I know I'm an old man now, but, like, that solves everything. Like, there's no reason to be talking.
Also, having a history of that in your life gives you a much better perspective of the consequences of talking shit. If you don't have any history, like, how many times have you seen guys talk shit and you know they can't fight? You're like, this is crazy. This is like someone challenging someone to a race they've never driven a car. Like, they don't even know how to shift gears. You don't know a goddamn thing. What, you watch a Jackie Chan movie, you think you're going to fuck somebody up? It's like, but there's a lot of people that are doing that.
There's so many people that believe that, like, and then just guys who watch fights, like, they believe that they could beat, they're legit people that believe they could beat people that are inside the octagon or inside a professional cage, inside the PFL or Ryzen or somewhere, and they're just like, I could beat that guy. Yeah, no, you can't.
They really believe that.
Can't.
Just by being
I could beat Paulie Malignaggi. Did you see? No, dude.
No, he'll fuck you up. That was a sad fight, man. I watched it again.
I don't know. I can't bring myself to watch the bare knuckle boxing.
I tell you what, man, it changed my opinion. I was thinking for a long time that MMA done correctly, you'd have bare knuckles. Because I was like, why you got bare shins and bare knees and bare elbows, but you have your knuckles padded up? That doesn't make any sense. But now I see the cuts, like Chris Lieben, his face was just opened up, man. I was like, that is just, I don't want to see people take unnecessarily cuts that way, because then that scar tissue opens up and then it shortens their career, stops fights. I don't want to see that.
And also breaking hands. I mean, like, I that's why I don't want to watch it. I'm not a big fan of cuts. Remember Marvin Eastman and Vitor Belfort? I don't like, you know.
Yeah, horrific.
I want to show you something.
Okay.
That's like when you see those gory videos, does that really throw you?
No.
Like, okay, so I'm gonna show you something and it's horrible, right? But oh crap.
What is it?
It's a video. It's a video of I don't even know how to explain it. I don't want to tell you what it is until you see it, because it is so graphic.
Is it a fight video?
It's not a fight video. It's just something gory.
Okay.
You want to see some gore?
Yeah.
All right.
Show me.
I keep forgetting how to get through my phone sometimes, but I found it.
Okay, let's see.
So you're watching that, right?
Okay.
I don't know if those two things go together.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Oh, Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
Whoa.
You can see that, Jamie. Yeah.
His face is gone.
Whoa.
Like, I don't know if that part one equals part two. I don't know if that was just edited, but still.
It looks like it took him right in the mug.
Oh.
That seems like what it would do if a log hit you in the face like that. Wow,
I don't want to see
guy's
that.
Whole head is broken. He's missing his upper jaw.
Yeah.
Yikes.
Like, I don't even want to look.
Yeah. Well, how about Cyborg when Michael Venom Page hit him with that knee? Woo! That's one that makes you fucking, your whole body tightens up.
Like, how do you dent somebody's skull? Like, do you know how much force you have to hit somebody with like that?
Crazy. Think of all the fights you've seen. We've never seen that. I've never seen that.
Think about this. When everybody's been hit on the head, or something fell on your head and it's an edge of something, and it just, that pain.
Yeah.
I can't imagine what that pain is like. That's bone.
Yeah.
The bone. I don't want to see it.
There's
like,
the
no, I'm not saying open up. I'm just like, I looked over there, like that screen brightened up, and.
Well, how about what Cosmo Alexandre did to Sage Northcutt? That's crazy too. Mm-hmm. One punch broke like 8 bones in his face. Yeah.
Like, this is not for the lighthearted, man.
It's not for the lighthearted.
Like, and a lot of people like, I'm not a Sage hater, but I'm not a Sage lover. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. But like, I don't wish that on anybody.
I don't wish that on anybody either, and I don't like that matchup. I didn't like that matchup at all. I was like, what are they doing? That's a world champion striker. Yeah. Cosmo is a fucking bad man. Yeah. He's a bad man. he lights people on fire.
Yeah.
You know, and him at 185 pounds with no weight cutting. And that's one of the things that he said about that fight, how good he felt, like where he didn't have to cut any weight. You see how thick and fucking full he looked. It wasn't depleted and dehydrated and everything like that. And that is just not Sage's. Bring it back to the beginning. But look how
does this in all angles. You can see it.
Look how thick he is too. Like if you've seen Cosmo's fights before, I remember when he fought John Wayne Parr in Lion Fight. I mean, but John Wayne Parr is a multiple-time world champion and a skillful guy, and he managed to avoid like the big power shots like this and didn't get hurt. But it's also Cosmo having a chance to punch you with MMA gloves on too. With the majority of his career, he fought Muay Thai. Boom! I mean, that is a crazy punch, man.
Everything's behind that.
It's like this kid is just not ready for this yet. No. He's just not ready for this. As much as he has experience in karate, and you know, he had some good MMA fights against some, you know, good fighters. This is not a good fighter. That's an elite world-class striker. And you know, you're fighting him with little gloves on in a ring.
And your mixed martial arts game is primarily a striking game.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
You know, you're at a big disadvantage.
Huge, enormous disadvantage. I like what one is doing, though. I really do. I like what they're doing. I thought that's interesting, too, that they made him fight in a ring. Well, I don't know how many events one does in a ring versus does in a cage, but the dynamics shift radically when you get caught, you get cornered. You know, like that's one of the cool things about the Bellator cage.
Yeah.
It's circular. There's no cornering anybody.
Yeah.
But that, you know, when you see a boxing ring like that.
Yeah. That's especially, again, with Cosmo. Like, that's where he spent most of his time. Yeah. Like, all of his time.
It's a different environment.
And cutting that off is so much easier. And for a guy who knows how to do that, it's almost like Sage was set up. I'm not saying they set him up,
he was set up.
But that's just a bad situation.
Well, he didn't have. I mean, I guess he didn't have to take the fight. I don't know. I should say I don't know how they do their matchmaking. I don't know if it's like the UFC kind of forces fights on people, right? They let you know, like, you take this fight, or you know, we're probably not going to call you. Yeah. I mean, it's up to you. But if you want a career in the UFC, you take fights when you get them. But like when you see fighters in boxing, they have a really good manager. The manager knows who the guy you're going to fight is and says, okay, Yves, this guy is good, but you can beat him. And this is what I like about this style. He's gonna challenge you in a couple of areas, but overall you're a better fighter than him. But it'll give you a challenge, and we're trying to build your record up to get you a title shot. And you know, maybe you'd be 9-0, 10-0, 11-0, 12-0, and then you know you get to a certain level, and they go, okay, we're ready to fight for a title, and then it would be this big promotion. Yves Edwards, you know, 17-0, you know, 16 knockouts, and it shows your highlight reel. Like, this is something that big management. This is the reason why it exists in boxing. Yeah. It's actually smart because it's a part of the development of a fighter. For every John Jones that could just step into the octagon at 21 years old and start fucking people up, there's so many young fighters that could be world champions, but then they run into elite competition early in their career and get fucked up, and then the dream kind of drifts away from them.
Yeah, fear gets put in them early.
Yep.
That's a problem.
And unnecessarily, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree. And that's the thing about guys getting into the UFC really early in their career. Like, that's everybody's goal. Virtually every fighter on the planet, that's where they want to be. That's the most recognized belt. That's the belt that everybody considers the highest ranked belt, right? So that's where everybody wants to get. And getting there with 2 or 3 fights under your belt, it's exciting, but like you're in the wolf's den now. Yeah,
it's not smart. Everybody wants to say they're a UFC fighter, but it really isn't smart. The smart way to do it is to fight on the regional circuit, train at a really good gym, and develop yourself. Get to a point.
Brian Ortega.
Yeah. I mean, look what Marlon Moraes did. You know, when he was before PFL, when it was the World Series of Fighting. He was fucking everybody up over there, and we were watching him going, how would this guy fare against world-class competition? And then you get him into the UFC, you're okay, well, this guy's the real deal.
He's right there.
He's the real deal. But it took all those years in smaller shows and to build up that sort of skill set and that confidence and experience.
There's a lot of good guys that came through there, like Gaethje. You know?
Sure. Perfect example. Yeah.
And it's also a good place when you get when guys got I'm not talking about now, of course, because it's no longer the World Series, but when guys got, they got to the UFC and they did their experience show that they weren't ready for it, and having these smaller promotions, that's a good thing, because some of those guys, their spirit doesn't necessarily break. They just know they're not ready for that yet. So going back down and working their way back up. But then again, it's hard. It's sometimes it's hard to earn that second shot. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, you can go back and I guess it all depends also on the relationship you had with the powers that be.
Right.
Once you're out, if you went out on a bad note, it kind of doesn't really matter.
Yeah, there's some bridge burners out there.
Yeah.
Some young guys that get crazy and then they do an interview. Interviews are so toxic, right? You start getting crazy and you say something that really could fuck up your entire career, and you might not even really mean it. Or if you do mean it, you might mean it only for an hour.
Yeah.
And then after you say, like, why did I say that? I should look at it from their perspective. They're trying to run a business.
Don't be in your feelings.
Yeah, don't be in your feelings. Well, one of the more interesting things about the PFL this season was Vinny Magalhaes. Like, Vinny Magalhaes has become who I thought he would be earlier in his career, because he's such a phenom with grappling. I mean, he's the legitimate world champion. I mean, I remember watching him throw a flying armbar on Pedipano, who's a multiple-time Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu world champion himself, and Vinny just locks him up and jumps into a flying armbar. I'm like, that is crazy, and finished him off. I was like, that is insane. Like, that's how good Vinny is. And he was catching people, and I thought he was on his way. And Sean, what is his last name?
Sean O'Connell.
O'Connell. Yeah, I want to say O'Malley, but I know that's not his name. Sean O'Connell. I was very impressed, man. Amazed that he was able to beat him.
Man, he put a real good game plan together. He had Jeremy Horn in his corner too. Like, having that knowledge bank behind you. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. But like, Vinny, I think his fights lasted like not even a round to get to the finals.
Yeah.
So that's 4 fights, and he hasn't even spent 5 minutes in the cage yet. And then Sean takes him to the end. But then this season, Vinny just fought a couple of weeks ago, and man, I guess it's kind of like the strategy to beat Vinny, of course, is to keep the fight standing, not get taken down, not be on bottom, don't even let him pull guard. But he took a pounding in that first round. He needs a win. He needs to show that Vinny level jiu-jitsu in his next fight to get into the playoffs this year.
Did he win his fight?
He lost. He got stopped in the second, I believe.
By who?
Emiliano Sordi.
Oh.
He lit him up, man.
Really?
He just picked him apart, stayed on the outside. I think Vinny did land one takedown, but Sordi defended, got back to his feet, and he just worked him. Body, head, just really good boxing.
Yeah, Vinny might be just that guy that's just elite level jiu-jitsu guy that never quite realizes his full potential in MMA, And it's also like the amount of time. You got to think, he was back in The Ultimate Fighter. Ryan Bader stopped him in the finals. That was a long time ago.
That was like the fourth or fifth season.
Something like that.
Yeah.
So what was that, 2007 or something like that? 12 years ago? That's a long career.
It's a long time, but like, he still looks good. He still has
amazing.
it. His striking has gotten better. I mean, he's not going to be able to go toe to toe with the elite level strikers in his weight class, but his wrestling is where I think that's where he really needs to focus now, if he still wants to do, or how much longer he wants to do this.
Right.
Because
how old is he now?
I think Vinny's 33, 34?
35.
It was close. But his striking is, you have to respect it. You have to respect his standing, and if he could transition to taking a shot off of that and just chain wrestle, like, that'll be so much better, because on top, of course, he's going to be a monster, but if he's pulling guard, there's a few guys he's going to catch, but most of the better guys, you're going to have a problem there.
What are you going to say?
It's his birthday today. Just turned 35.
Oh, happy birthday, Vinny.
Yeah, he's one of the few guys. I mean, didn't he get like 2 Kimuras in a row?
2 Kimuras on the same night.
Did he really?
Yeah.
They're fighting on the same night. That shit's crazy. I'm not a fan of that.
Why?
Because I think that the problem is, say if 2 guys fight, right, and one guy knocks the other guy out real quick and then goes into the next round, but the other guy who is going to fight, he fights and he has a rough 3-round war, and then he goes into the next fight. One guy is super fresh, and the other guy's body's beat to shit. Just doesn't make sense. Like, one guy's legs are all fucked up. He's been leg kicked. He might have got dinged. He might be like a little dizzy. and then he's going to go and fight an hour later? That seems ridiculous to me.
But what about like that's different for you if it's wrestling or if it's a submission grappling tournament?
Yes.
Because there's no striking?
Yeah, because there's no striking.
The thing about that is you can always, if you're going in banged up, right, or if you get hurt, we saw that last year in the playoffs. I forget who it was. I believe it was Islam Mamedov, right? He won his fight, but I don't remember what the injury was, but he pulled out, and the guy he beat, who was not banged up really. I mean, the fight was a tough fight. He claimed he was going in at 100% except for the conditioning.
Yeah, but the thing is, like, there's a difference between being injured, like you tear your ACL and you know it, and like I can't fight, I can't go on, and just being beat to shit.
That is the difference. But
yeah,
like, I mean, what's the difference between fight? You can only fight 5 rounds,
right?
Like, and no commission is going to let you fight 5 rounds, more than 5 rounds in a night. So in the playoffs for the PFL, we have 2 rounds in the quarterfinals, and then the semifinals is 3 rounds. Right? It's kind of tricky because should the fight end up in a draw, then the fighter who won the first round wins the fight.
What?
Yeah. I think it should be the second.
Yeah.
Some people think it should be the second. Some people think it should be the first.
Why is it the fighter that won the first round?
I don't know. I mean,
that seems silly.
It's, yeah.
Don't you want to, like, if the teacher comes and pulls you off a dude, you're on top and you punch him in the face, but that guy was hitting you with a jab for the first 2 minutes. It doesn't matter. Everybody knows you won the fight.
Street fight rules.
Yeah,
right?
if you're on top and you're punching him in the face when they break it up, you won.
Yeah,
he knows it too. Everyone knows it.
I agree. So I do like the second round being weighed more heavily.
Yeah.
I think also having the second round weighed more heavily, where the first round is, you're going to press the action, and the guy's not really going to run, because if you do run, you can't be assured that unless you dominated the first round completely, you can't be assured that you're going to win that.
I get the strategy though, where they want people to fight exciting fights. They don't want anybody to hold back until the second round. I get that. That makes sense.
Yeah, but at the same time, if one guy presses the action in the first, everybody's go. I mean, you got to go.
Yeah, that's true. I don't know,
but it's see, that's the only problem with that is if commissions would allow 3 rounds,
Yeah.
I mean, what's an extra round anyway? There's not a single. It's weird how sometimes these people who don't do it and they say they're concerned for your safety. They're like, we're fighting. We already agreed to do this. Like, you know what I mean?
I know. That's the worst thing that could happen today is a fight.
Yeah.
You're worried about someone's safety. Yeah, it's funny. I don't know, man. I just think that twice a night, when you talk to neurologists in particular, they think it's very dangerous.
Yeah.
Because they think repeated concussions. Like, one of the things about football that they're really concerned with was guys that get head injuries early in the game. They sit on the bench for a quarter and then jump back in. They're worried about that. They're worried about repeated concussions in one day.
I get that. And I also think, like, where football is concerned, I love football. I still like to watch the sport. And I have nothing against that. As long as the players have the information, you're making a choice, right?
Right.
This is it's freedom.
Now,
right?
Today, they have, Bo Jackson said he wouldn't let his kids play.
Yeah. Well.
Which is really interesting. He said he didn't know. He said no one knew back then.
Yeah, no one, I mean, it's like, well, yeah.
They thought you were wearing a helmet, you're going to be fine.
See, that's the thing that's where I think the difference between fighting and the NFL and football happens, is because, like, if I gave you a basketball and I stood here and I said, throw that at my head as hard as you can, as hard as you want, right? As hard as you can, right? I don't think you're going to you're going to try to smash me in the head with the basketball, right? But if I put on a helmet, you're going to be more willing to throw it harder. Right. But it's like that really doesn't change anything. It's now that this perceived defense, protection, there's just a barrier, but I'm still getting that concussive force of you throwing that basketball at my head, right?
Yep.
Well, when you take football, you're not taking just a punch, traveling at like 20, 30 miles an hour from like 2 feet away, hitting somebody. Yes, it's repeated, but like, people don't take really more than 60 punches in a fight. But sometimes they do. But football, there's like, you're slamming into each other, and we're talking about 250-pound men at full speed at 15 to 20 miles an hour. Boom. Boom. You know,
and then they're both running at each other.
Like a head-on collision. So
the impact's insane.
That's so different. But like I don't say don't play the sport. Just make sure the information's out there. Let the people make their choice.
Wonder if there's ever going to be anything they can do to figure out how to protect the brain inside. I mean, there's got to be a way that they can figure out how to. Well, maybe not. I mean, your brain's sloshing around inside there.
Yeah. Like they have a way. Like, give us the information, let you decide whether you want to put your brain at risk or not. You know what I mean? Yeah. But like, what I like, the thing about the PFL, because when you get to the playoffs, those 2 fights in one night. Mm-hmm. I fought in tournaments. I like, you knew about boxers being punchy and all that. I knew that, but like, I don't know. There's a thing about competing. There's a passion about competing and having that tournament opportunity. That's a lot of fun. Like, a lot of these young guys, a lot of these young fighters, they didn't get the chance to fight in tournaments because tournaments kind of ended recently, The Pride tournaments were awesome. And then, of course, back then, there was a lot of tournaments. The UFC had the tournament originally. So that's a whole lot of fun. But like with the PFL season, what I like about it is there's a bunch of different storylines that happens, Mm-hmm. You're fighting to gain points to get into the playoffs. So there are 2 regular season fights. And the first regular season fight, you know where everybody's sitting at 0. But then you come in the second. Of course, everybody wants to win their fight. Everybody wants to win as soon as possible to get the maximum amount of points. But then when you come into the second fight, then everybody's like, okay, you're looking at the numbers. I need this. I need this. You're concerned, and then you're watching throughout the night to figure out who's got to do what.
Well, explain that to people that don't understand what we're talking about, because you guys have a score system.
We have a scoring system. So in the Professional Fighters League, a win. You have to win. We have a seeding for the playoffs. So the top 8 fighters in the male weight classes, and the women are only 8. So the top 4 fighters get into the playoffs, right? And you get in by point standings. So you get a draw. That's 1 point for each fighter. You get a win. That's 3 points. But you get a win by stoppage in the 3rd round. That's 4 points. Win by stoppage in the 2nd, 5. Win by stoppage in the first, 6. So you try to accrue points, accumulate points so that when we get to the playoffs, you're seeded in the top 8. And I'm talking about the men. Just remember that the women are 4 in the playoffs. But when you get seeded through the top 8, and then you fight a quarterfinal and semifinal fight on the same night, and the winners from those nights, the winners in the semifinals go to the championships, and that's on New Year's Eve, and that's for $1 million. So you get 3 fights for $1 million, right?
That's pretty fucking good.
That's really good.
Yeah.
Right? So I wish this tournament was around when I was, because I'm like, I want to do that,
Sure.
I want to win $1 million.
So how many fighters got $1 million?
6.
Wow.
6 fighters got $1 million last year. So
there it is. 6 champions, $1 million each.
Yeah, and this year will be six millionaires again. The way that the season plays out, like I said, you fight the first round of the regular season. When you come in, we're going into the second round of the regular season now. So on the 8th, on July 11th, on Thursday night, we're going to be in Atlantic City. We have the women, and we have the women 155-pounders, and then we have the men welterweights. And so this is a fight that I'm really excited about, right? Magomed Karamov, he won last season, but then Chris Curtis came into the PFL, and he won his first fight. Magomed won his first fight, got 6 points. Chris Curtis got 4 points, got a 3rd round stoppage, and he called out Magomed Karamov. He called out the champion from last year, so he wants to go into this next fight fighting the champion. I'm like, why would you do that? Because if you lose that, you're not making it into the playoffs. You lose your opportunity at $1 million. But like that bravado of being a fighter and wanting, you want to knock the best guy off, right? You always want the best guy, but to call him out in a fashion where it threatens your potential, like he has to perform. Right. Like he has to perform now. So like that fight really interests me because Magomed Karamov is really good. He can do everything. Like he's one of those guys who doesn't look like, his body type, he doesn't look like the kind of guy who will smash you, but he will. Like, did you see Ray Cooper last year?
Mm-hmm.
Like
Ray Cooper the second.
That's
what's crazy is that Jake Shields fought his dad.
Yeah. And him.
And fought him twice. That was what was kind of fucked up. I watched both those fights. I was like, damn, they're making Jake Shields fight this dude again.
They didn't make him do it.
I know they didn't make him do it, but he fucked Jake up, and then he fucked him up again a couple months later.
Yeah.
How many months later was it? Like 3 or 4 months?
3 months.
Yeah.
The seeding.
That's rough. But a bad KO like that from the same guy, and then you fight he didn't have any answers for that dude. Like, to fight a guy like Ray, who is, I believe, he's a state champion Hawaiian wrestler, right? And whoo, does he have some fucking heavy hands.
He's like the Mike Tyson of, like, welterweights.
And for welterweight, he's fairly short. He's like 5'7", and he just throws fucking bricks. Well, so does John Howard, though. John Howard's got some fucking bombs in his hands.
Yeah, I like that fight, too.
Yeah, very interesting fight.
That's a very good fight. Now, with that fight, because Ray hits hard, John Howard does have some bombs in his hands. I think Ray has more power, though. You know, I feel like Howard's going to have to stick and move, use those leg kicks, and try to slow him down. You can't go out there trying to take Ray Cooper out early.
Well, John's been around a long time too. John has had a long career.
Yeah,
you know, I mean, how old is John now?
I think John is probably like 33 now.
He's at least.
Maybe 35.
He was in the UFC a long time ago.
Mine is 36.
36. Oh wow. Yeah. And he's been in some crazy wars. You know.
He's been in some wars. He's a black. He just got his black belt, and that's the only guy who beat Ray Cooper last season. You know, Magomed Karamov beat him by submission. I think that's the best option for a lot of guys facing him because he has so much power.
Now, all these are on NBC Sports. Is that what they're doing?
ESPN2.
ESPN2 now.
ESPN2 and ESPN Plus.
Oh, okay. Well, that's right. That's new to this year, right?
That's new to this year. Last year,
very exciting. That's very exciting. Yeah. So ESPN Plus, which also has the UFC, and put it on ESPN as well. That's great.
Yeah.
That's so good, man, that ESPN is stepping into MMA like this. I love it.
It's huge because I thought this last year when the UFC signed with ESPN, I was like, that's a great thing because a lot of times the UFC, when fight fans watch the UFC, they only think of the UFC as mixed martial arts. I'm sorry, they think of mixed martial arts as the UFC.
Right.
You know, people ask you train UFC. You know what I mean?
Right.
But like ESPN being the worldwide leader in sports, I've seen like highlights on ESPN from Ryzen, from Japan, from One, from all these different, from some small promotions, and it's like that helps the sport grow. That helps people recognize that there's not only one avenue for the sport, and these guys do have to cut their teeth somewhere, and also there are some other organizations where you can get some quality fights, some really good fighters, and money.
Yeah.
Like, I like there being a lot more options for guys where the money's concerned.
I'm very happy about that. I mean, that's how they lured Sage over to ONE FC and also Eddie Alvarez and Mighty Mouse, you know?
Yeah.
But it's a different world when there's no weight cutting. You know, I am such a giant fan of that weight cutting deal, the way they're doing it over at ONE FC.
It's, okay, so what exactly are they doing? You
hydration tests.
And how far out before the fight?
I don't know how they're doing it, but the way it was explained to me is they essentially say if you were the 170-pound champion, they bump you up to like 185.
Yeah.
They're like, look, you're going to fight 185 now. There's no weight cutting. We're going to test you. We're going to test your weight. We're going to test your hydration. We're going to know what your real weight is. So this is your real weight. Your real weight is 185 pounds. You're dropping 15 pounds of water to get to 170, but we both know that when you get into that octagon, you're going to be 185 pounds. So let's just cut the shit and have you never drop down to 170 and just say you're a 185-pound fighter, which is what you stand next to guys like Kamaru Usman. You're like, how are you 170? That doesn't make any sense. Or Yoel, who's the craziest version. Yeah. Yoel is so big. He's so big. His fucking neck starts at the top of his head, and his shoulders, they meet the traps in the middle. You know, it's like, doge. He's just this mammoth of a man. And the idea that guy's 185 pounds is bananas.
I remember Tim Tebow, those kinds of guys.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
And these guys are still muscular the entire time.
I don't know how Gleason did it all those years. Gleason was walking around well over 190 and getting down to 155.
Not even, man. Like, I'd see Tebow in the gym, and it's like, Tebow, what do you weigh right now? He's like, oh, my friend, 190, 195. It's like, get on the scale. No. Like, he's not doing that, you know? He's easy like 205, 210.
Really? 205, 210, he would get down to 155.
He's so big.
How did he do it?
I don't know.
Sheer force of will?
Yeah, so I've seen him at weight cuts just like laid out. Like we fought on a couple cards together also, you know, and he's just like laid out, and he has to be carried out of the room, you know. Of course, you have to walk up to the scale on your own, but
that's so insane that you let a guy do that and then they fight a day later.
And, yeah, the next day. Like, but you wouldn't let somebody recover from the flu. Like, say, oh, I feel better, the temperature's down. You wouldn't let them fight the next day.
Right.
You know?
They'd probably be healthier.
Yeah, much healthier. I don't know.
It's the dumbest thing in all combat sports in terms
weight
of...
cut.
Yeah.
But, like...
It could be avoided.
So, you think there's no... Because I haven't been in the position, I don't know how you work the system with the ONE FC system.
I would like to talk to Chatri. Chatri is the one who set it all up. I mean, it's his organization, and I think he's the leader in terms of the safety and also fairness. Because I think that what weight cutting is, I mean, look, everybody's doing it, so it's not like everybody is ethically compromised. But I think it's cheating. I think it's legal cheating. That's what I think it is. If you're pretending you weigh 125 pounds like Mighty Mouse does, he doesn't really weigh 125. He weighs like 140. Yeah, 140 something. You know, that's what he really weighs. Yeah. And the thing is, when he's fighting over in ONE FC, those are the guys he's actually fighting. He's fighting guys his size.
Yeah.
So the guys that really did a great job of cutting weight, they do have a significant advantage once they get into that octagon. But I don't think that's a fair advantage.
There's some guys that do it really well, too.
Yeah.
Really well.
Some guys are excellent at it.
Yeah.
Some guy, Yoel, he's excellent, even though he's missed a couple of times. Those guys, the advantage is so spectacular.
How does James Vick make 155?
That's a good point. He's a tall fella.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's a lot of those guys. Hell, Paul Felder. Paul Felder's a fucking gorilla. How's he get down to 155? He's so thick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's broad, man. I remember when Dustin was making 145.
Mm-hmm. Crazy. You know? Right? He looks like he's having a hard time making 55 now. But look, man, the difference between him at 45 and 55 is pretty significant.
So, with Dustin, like, I'm kind of biased because he's one of my best friends, right? Of course. But you see how Max dominated a lot of guys at 45. Mm-hmm. And then you talk about Max is like now he's the greatest. Now he's the greatest at 145. He may be the GOAT. He may be greater than Jose Aldo. Mm-hmm. Like, that's an argument that people can make.
Well, he beat him twice.
Right.
Although he beat him later in his career.
Right.
Jose's not 50 years old. He was in his early 30s.
Yeah. And he was still the number one guy. He was still dominating everybody else.
Yep.
Right? Or
except
at least
Conor.
Beating everybody else except Conor. But, like, the way Max beat those guys, beat Ortega, beat Jose twice, and then Dustin's having these tough fights. He's fighting these same guys. He's fighting Gaethje. He's fighting Eddie. He's winning them. He's convincingly winning them. But when he fights Max, like Max, the fight is Dustin's fight is the same fight that he had with Gaethje. It's the same as far as competitiveness, right? Mm-hmm. Max was still in there, but Dustin wins these. But like this is where my bias kicks in. I'm like, give that man some credit, man. Like I mean, I know everybody loves Dustin. I mean, not everybody, but people love Dustin. They appreciate the way he fights. They appreciate his style. But I'm like, man, he's taken out like champions. Mm-hmm. He's taken out champions. Gaethje was a champion. He was in World Series, but he was a champion. Yeah. He took out Eddie, champion.
Yep.
Max, champion. He's like all these guys. He's beaten Anthony Pettis, champion. It's just champion after champion.
He also rises to the occasion. He fought better against Max than any other fight he ever fought in his career.
That's the thing about him, though. Like he's like the cream, Mm-hmm. He rises. That's why his nickname's the Diamond.
What do you think happens when he fights Khabib? Yeah, that's the one.
That's the fight. Like,
that's the fight.
Like Khabib is the guy. Khabib is definitely the guy. And I was talking to him about it. I started a new podcast. I got
What's
a podcast.
Called?
Sup Fam.
Sup Fam.
Sup Fam.
Sup Fam with Yves Edwards.
Yeah, I know. And I just released it today. It's on my YouTube.
It just started today?
Yeah, well, I just released the first episode today.
Oh, all right.
And Dustin's my first guest.
Oh, perfect.
So I was out there with him last week, and we were just hanging out, and we talked about some of that. But, like, what do I think happens? This is a tough fight. It's the toughest fight everybody's going to get, right? I absolutely understand and agree that Khabib should be going in as the favorite, right? I want Dustin to win this fight. Every round starts on the feet. Dustin's got to make smart moves every single time, because when Khabib takes him down, it's virtually impossible to get back to your feet. Right? And that's where Khabib is going to want this fight to happen. Dustin's going to have his opportunities, but like, is he going to be able to stop that wrestling consistently enough to make this fight happen where it's best for him? And that's the hardest thing. He's got a good training camp. He's got really good people there with him. He's got Mike Brown there. You know who I want to get with him? Gregor Gillespie. I want Gregor Gillespie to get with Dustin and just get on top of him for the next 2 months.
Just feel that high-level wrestling.
Yeah.
Smashing pressure.
Just that pressure, and get comfortable working out of it, working under there, protecting yourself, doing that.
Would he be interested in... he might fight him down the road, though.
It's possible.
Yeah.
Right? But, like, Tyron and Robbie trained together a long time ago.
That's true. Know? Yeah, that's how you get better.
Right? Yeah. Like, it's one of those things where it's like... Sometimes you gotta trade with a potential rival, or not an enemy, but like iron sharpens iron.
Yep.
And sometimes you have to go with somebody that's a possible matchup in the future. It just
especially if you're going to fight a guy who has that same style. And I think you nailed it too, because Gregor Gillespie is probably, when you get past Khabib, the scariest wrestler in the division.
Yeah.
He's a guy that gets on top of people and just smashes them.
And he's relentless with his wrestling also. He's a guy who's not going to get tired. He's going to put that pressure on you. He's going to come forward. And once he gets a hold of you, if you don't use perfect technique to escape and get that distance back, he's just going to chain wrestle and chain wrestle. There's no stopping until you're down. Until he scores his 2, there's the takedown is still happening.
Yeah. He's got some fucking relentless strength and conditioning sessions too that he puts on his Instagram. You watch it and you go, oh, this is why this guy doesn't get tired. Fuck.
That guy doesn't get tired because he's obsessed.
Yeah.
Like he runs like 5-minute miles.
Does he really?
Like he'll run like 6 of them.
Jesus
straight.
Christ.
He will run 8 miles and he'll keep them all under 6 minutes.
So he'll run 6 miles and a half an hour.
Yeah.
Fuck.
He can do that.
Fuck,
like,
man.
He's crazy.
Wow, that's crazy. That's
he's
like
crazy obsessed.
That's high level marathon pace, right?
Yeah. Like people don't know some of the things about these guys. Like there was a point where training with these guys, I was just like, all right, man, I'm too old to be doing that. I can't. I just can't keep up with that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that was one of them, man. Gregor, like we were on this Nike running app together, and like I had to delete him off my thing because like I was getting like discouraged. Like, I'm not trying to beat that.
That's hilarious.
Like, for real.
You should go fishing with him. I want to go fishing with that dude.
I want to take him fishing in the Bahamas.
Oh, that's a good spot,
like,
right?
And line fishing, not like with a rod. We fish a lot of line fishing.
Oh, okay, just with your hands.
Yeah. And
that's wild when you feel the fish on the line.
Oh, when you're just fighting and pulling. Oh, I love that. It's fun. I mean, there's some fish like I'm not pulling up a grouper like that.
Now, why do you prefer line fishing with your hands? Just because it's the old school way?
Just because it's the way I grew up. I knew it.
Right.
Like when we get, like my cousin I told you about who free dives, like he'll spearfish. So I remember once I was a little kid and he was out with his dad. He was spearfishing and he missed the fish and he smacked the turtle.
Oh, I thought you was gonna say his hand.
No, he hit his spear hit a turtle. Turtle took off with his spear.
Oh no!
So
stuck in him.
Yeah, I mean it's potentially some turtle out there in the ocean right now. The spear stuck in him. This is like 30 years ago. Those things live forever.
They do live forever. I wonder if it survived. It calcified over the spear point.
Yeah,
I've never been spearfishing, but it looks like a hell of a lot of fun.
I've never spearfished like inside. I play with them on land, and of course it's with the what's that? The rubber, like kind of like a slingshot.
Bungee cord.
Yeah, the bungee cord. So that one was cool, but of course they have the guns. I would like to use a spear gun, but I don't know. You kind of have to earn that right. I feel. I gotta go free diving with Curly and do some of that.
What's
first.
the longest you think you could hold your breath underwater?
So we used to have this thing as a kid where we'd say we try to blow the pool, and I can swim an Olympic level. Well, I have swam an Olympic length pool, staying underwater.
Right, but how long does that take?
Like, that probably
seconds?
took me that probably took me like 45 seconds.
And then also you're swimming.
Yeah, you're exerting. So
yeah.
But like I'm telling you, he goes down and he's under the water for easily 3 minutes.
You know who's supposed to be insane at that? Is Egan Inoue.
I heard about that.
I heard he could do like 6 minutes, 7 minutes. Yeah.
It's like, I don't know, maybe it's from sucking up a choke. You know?
I think it's just practice. I think you just practice freediving. And Hawaiians, they do that crazy workout. There was, remember, one of the countdown shows, and BJ was supposed to be fighting George St. Pierre. They had him doing his strength and conditioning in the water, where he would dive underwater and pick up a rock and move it and drop it and swim to the surface and dive down again and pick up the rock, like a big-ass rock, and move it. And that was part of his strength and conditioning.
So, like, I was good with my cardio. There were times when I gassed, but like when punches are coming at you, a lot of people blink. A lot of people do that. So that was my thing. I keep my eyes open a long time. You know what I mean? So that's that whole steer cam thing. That kind of comes from that. I just keep my eyes open, not blinking. Those guys who do those underwater things. How do you think that relates to? Like, I understand you can hold your breath longer, but how do you think that relates to cardio? Because your muscles not working except to
carry
hold
the rock. Well, the idea is doing the rock thing, like moving and carrying the rock while you're underwater. I don't know, man. I don't know enough about it. But I know I had Laird Hamilton on recently. You know, he's a big-time surfer. And one of the things that he's doing now, he has this whole program where they're doing weights in the water. So they're doing like heavy dumbbells, and they'll bring them to the bottom of the water. And you have to take the dumbbell, swim with it to the top, catch a breath of air, and then you go back down again. And there's also doing some where they're taking like a 70-pound dumbbell, you hold it to your chest, and you're swimming through the water while you're trying to carry this dumbbell. And extremely difficult to do. The thing is, how much is that applicable to fighting? That's what I don't know. Because I remember when I was like real heavily into jiu-jitsu at one point in time, I didn't do any striking for like a whole year. I didn't even hit pads. But I was in really good jiu-jitsu shape. I was rolling a lot. And then I went to hit pads. I was like, God damn it, why am I gassing out so quick? This is crazy.
It's a different shape, right?
Yeah, it's a different shape.
I'm always concerned about that, or curious about that anyway, because of all those different aspects of it. There are times when you're grabbing onto something, holding onto something, and then you get back to your feet, and all that lactic acid goes up in your arms, and your arms are slow. But like, you still feel your conditioning feels good, but you just feel heavy. Yep. But there's those times also when you're grappling, and then you get back to your feet, and then it's like your arms don't feel tired, but it's like I don't know. Is it because you're holding your breath? And maybe that's what going on the water's for?
I don't know. The people that trained BJ in the prime of his career was Marv Marinovich. Do you remember that?
Yeah, I remember that name.
They had these ridiculous plyometric drills they had him doing, and their attitude, and Nick Curson is one of their proteges, and he still sort of has the same philosophy. Their attitude is that you already know how to fight. Like, you're already a skillful fighter. When you get to the UFC, if you have 8 weeks to get ready for a fight or 12 weeks to get ready for a fight, the most important thing is your gas tank. And that you should concentrate on these fucking preposterous plyometric drills and strength and conditioning drills and just get your body so you have the biggest fucking gas tank possible. And then all your skills, you just drill. Like, that shouldn't have any effect, like, cardio-wise. Like, if you're doing drills as far as, like, striking, grappling, combination drills, or whatever you're doing, like, those things should almost be secondary to your strength and conditioning. That's their attitude.
I kind of agree with that. I mean, there's a point where, yeah, you can always improve technique-wise.
But are you going to do that in an 8-week camp?
Right. No, like, you do that in your downtime.
Right.
You do that when you're not in camp. When camp comes, it's all about being ready to fight for as long as you need to, as hard as you can.
And I think their attitude also is that this way you're doing way less sparring, way less opportunity to get hurt. And mostly it's these crazy plyo drills, box jumps, and all this crazy shit, medicine ball stuff, all this stuff where you just explode. Everything is just go, 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 so that your body's just used to that. So that when you get into a fight, your body has this insane gas tank. And there's something to it, because those were BJ's best days. The Sean Shirk fight, the Diego Sanchez fight, that was prime BJ Penn when he was the motherfucker of motherfuckers. That was what was up. I mean, he was training with the Marinoviches.
Did you see that video of him beating up the bouncer recently?
Sad. That's sad. He's obviously having a real tough time, man.
I didn't. I just saw the video. I don't know how it happened. I don't know what's.
Yeah, he's just inside control with flip flops on.
Yeah. It's like, here's my thing. I don't know the situation that led to it. I only saw that he's on top of the guy, and I'm like, this is in Hawaii. Like, who picks a fight with BJ Penn in Hawaii? Or who even like steps to BJ Penn in Hawaii? I mean, I understand if there was, I don't know the situation. If it's like BJ, you got to leave and he's not listening, you try to get BJ's friends to go, like, talk to your guy, man, get him out of here.
Right.
But like, you don't go toe to toe with BJ Penn, right?
It seems stupid.
It's just a bad choice.
I don't get it. Hey, did Max Holloway, is he the one who started the bottle cap challenge? Do we know that for a fact?
He was the first one I saw.
I'm so tired of seeing people kick bottle caps off.
I was going to say, there's something different about his, is that the cap stayed on the bottle. Everyone else is just kicking the cap off. He kept it on and it kept spinning.
Coincidental.
I know, but that might be to the bottle of Tito's, I think, that he used, but like that's a little more impressive than some of the other people just knocking it off, or slightly, but it's not that big of a deal either.
I'm with Jamie on that one.
Listen, there's a reason why so many people are doing it. It's not that hard. It's just not that hard. You throw a wheel kick like this. You just like get someone to hold it, tight, and the wheel kick goes like this, and you have the bottle cap barely on, so the bottle cap is like this, and you just make sure you throw a wheel kick like that.
But you don't knock it off. That's everyone else knocked it off. He kept it on.
Well, I think people using water bottle caps, which have a shallow set of grooves, whereas like the bottle that he used has a deeper groove.
Would it be more impressive if they showed the whole bottle and that there's not someone holding it, and you only
I think so.
grazed it? Or
I guess.
Is it anything?
I guess.
Not
to me, I've never even thought once about doing it. It's like I know how to throw a wheel kick. I'm not going to do it. It's just, it seems silly to me. Like when Jason Statham's doing it. And when John Mayer did it, the fucking shark was jumped.
But that's what Max challenged, wasn't it?
That assassin.
I think Max called him out on it.
He did?
Yeah.
He called out John Mayer?
Yeah.
Why? It's like, why does Justin Bieber want to fight Tom Cruise? There's so many questions.
I would watch it.
I would watch it.
I'd watch it.
I think Tom Cruise will fuck him up with all those crazy voodoo superpowers that he has that he got from Scientology.
And the aliens.
And belief in himself.
Man, the fights last weekend.
Yeah.
Right? I didn't want to watch them. I was in Texas and I called, there's this ice cream and they were in Austin. I was like, they never have it. And they had it one time. I drove from Houston to Austin to get some ice cream.
Really?
Yeah.
You drove from Houston to Austin. That's like 3 hours.
Yeah.
You drove 3 hours for ice cream.
I did.
Oh my God, you're embracing the fatness.
It was worth it, man.
I know why you're making all these jokes about your weight. You're like, get ready for people to see you in the later stage James Toney career. Remember?
Yup. I don't want to be James Toney. I want to still be able to take off my shirt, but man, I had to go get it. But
wow.
But I did watch the fights, and I watched the main card.
Francis is fucking terrifying.
Right?
He's fucking terrifying.
Like when JDS missed.
Yeah.
Like you can't make mistakes against him because you take one and that could be it.
Well, I felt like JDS was doing pretty good in the beginning with the leg kicks. Like that's what you need to do with Francis. You need to keep moving and kick those legs.
Yeah.
It'd be interesting to see if, obviously Alistair was the most elite striker. It's for the most decorated striker in the whole division. And one of the most decorated strikers ever. And Francis still nuked him. He just nukes guys.
All he has to do is hit you, man.
Crazy.
You saw, I can't say his last name. Champion Dalla is his nickname. He fought on the undercard. I think he was Cameroonian also.
I didn't see the undercard. The only thing I saw was the Francis fight.
This guy looks like if you take Tyron Woodley and made him bigger, stronger, faster.
What? What's his name?
Dala Lugiambu. I don't know his last name. I can't pronounce it. But
is he a new acquiree?
I think this was his debut.
Oh.
And he looked. I honestly, I would like to see him and Alonzo Menafiel at some point. They both look. They're both like. It would be like watching like two G.I. Joe figures. You know, like just like getting in there and going to town.
Do you know that heavyweight that fights in ONE FC? They call him the Panther. He just did the bottle cap challenge too. He did like a hook kick and then a wheel kick with a different leg.
No.
He's this dude who is another one of those preposterous looking fellas that just unbelievably jacked and a heavyweight. What do you got? Okay, here it is. We're gonna see this is the highlight.
Oh yeah.
Oh my God, he's fast. Yeah, I see what you're saying.
And he's just so big. And powerful.
What
This
weight
is
is
light
this?
heavyweight.
Light heavyweight.
Light heavy.
Oh,
5, yeah.
Oh, that's interesting because this fucking weight class needs some new blood. That's for sure. I mean, yep, that's a wrap. Quick, damn.
I'm like,
debut.
I'm like, man, you want to come make $1 million?
How many contracts? I mean, these contracts. How many fights do they put him under?
You just for the year. So to get to the $1 million, it's 5 fights.
And if you win, do you have to stay in the PFL for a certain amount of time?
Stay. You do not have to. I don't actually. When it comes to that, I don't know the details on champions, but I know that the semifinalists have returned. So I haven't read everyone's contract or anyone's contract really, but thinking that the semifinalists returned, I don't know if there's a right to first refusal in the contract for the season, but that's a good question. I need to know that.
Do you like the whole point scoring format thing? Do you think it's a good added element?
I like it. I like it because, and not necessarily because it changes how people fight. Fighting in this organization, though, I believe you're a little more loose. You know what I mean? You show up and you know you have to win. You try to win and you try to win. Like, you don't just try to get the W. You know, there's a lot of fights sometimes when it's like you're on the bubble and it's like you're fighting very cautious. You know. I feel like with this rule set, you get to just be yourself out there. You always want to win, so you're always going to fight to win, but you don't necessarily change your style to play the rules. You know, you're just going to fight the way you fight.
The only thing that concerns me is that it's a little complicated, like paying attention to all
for the fans.
Yeah, the points and all that jazz.
So I understand why you would say that, but if you're watching the broadcast, like, you know, you got me, Sean, Randy behind the desk, and we're trying to keep people updated with the points and how that works, and it's really not that hard.
Who's Sean?
Sean O'Connell.
Oh, so he's doing commentary.
So
now.
He's doing commentary.
He was a radio guy, right?
Yeah, he was a radio guy for on Sirius,
like a sports radio guy,
and I think he still has
crazy.
that program. Yeah.
Good for him.
Yeah.
That's amazing. And now he's a millionaire.
He's a millionaire and he's diversified his portfolio.
And he retired.
He retired from fighting. And now he's in the booth with Randy.
That's amazing.
And I think he's a pretty good play-by-play guy, especially as a former fighter. Not a lot of play-by-play guys are former fighters.
Yeah,
you know?
That's right. It's usually color. Yeah. And he fought well in the UFC too. He's a tough guy.
Yeah, I mean, and it's weird. I always make fun of him. I always tell him, like, you fight like Homer Simpson, but your fight IQ is higher.
Why say it fights like Homer Simpson?
Because he takes so many shots, man. He just, like, stands in front of you and just trades punches. But, like he had to use his brain to beat Vinny. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because Vinny takes you down and gets on top, he's going to grind himself to submission.
Yeah.
But with Sean, he was you know, he backed away from the, because all of his other fights all season were the Homer Simpson fights. You know, like, he got hit sometimes, but he just came back and bombed on you and knocked everybody out. He lost every first round that he fought. One of them, he lost the entire fight. But every other fight that he fought, he lost the first round and then came back and just bombed on guys. Even with Vinny, he lost the first round, you know? But as far as the points go with that, you have us communicating how the points work. And I remember being in your position before the season started thinking, oh, the points thing, it's going to be weird. It's going to throw people off. But legit, you see that play out one time, it's like, oh, It's simple. It makes sense. You know, you start watching guys like, so this next round of fights coming up on the 11th, then on the 25th, then August 8th. We have the different two weight classes per show, right? And so we start with the women's lightweights and the welterweights. Then we have the featherweights and the men's lightweights. And then we have the light heavyweights and the heavies. So on those dates. But when you think about the points, right, you understand that like these guys are on the bubble. You're watching it like the NFL playoffs when you know the last 2 weeks of the playoffs is like this guy needs to beat this guy, but this guy has to finish before this time. You know, if he can get this win in the second round in less than 2.5 minutes, then he's in the playoffs. But if it goes past 2.5, he's out. You know, so but like we're communicating that through each fight, especially in this second round of the regular season. But you're watching that because these guys know that also. You know? So some of that, like, it's weird because in a fight you're not thinking about anything else but the guy in front of you. But you go in there with that mentality, that's already on the board. You don't have there's a pin in that. You know, you don't have to think about it consciously, but it's in your subconscious at some point, and you play to that. But even if you get out of that, if you get beyond that, then you're still there's the pride thing.
And this is a format that didn't exist with the PFL. Or with the World Series of Fighting, rather.
No.
This is a new format.
This is a new format.
So that's why they changed the name.
They changed the name. They changed the name just before they introduced this format. But I believe that the name was changed going into this format. I think they had one event as the Professional Fighters League without this seasonal format.
I don't know, man. I might be too old school.
You might be too old school, but if you say that, like, you got to try it. Like, you're a fight fan. Yeah. Like, and I promise you, as a fight fan, you're going to appreciate it.
Okay, tell me what card to watch. What's a good upcoming card?
The next card is a real one because besides the women, you got Kayla Harrison, the judo 2-time Olympian.
She's a beast.
She's
a beast.
She's a beast, but she needs to get a finish to guarantee herself a playoff spot because she fought. Her last fight, she fought her toughest opponent who took her to a decision. She won the fight convincingly, but she couldn't get herself a stoppage. You know, Sarah Kaufman is sitting at the top of the women's rankings with a finish. There's some really good women out there too. There are these 2 kickboxers. They fought each other last time, Bobby Joe DL and Jenna Fabian. They're both built like European kickboxers. They're tall, lanky, long women, and they're legit good kickboxers. They went toe to toe with each other. They're fighting in this week. They're not fighting each other, but they're fighting. Jenna Fabian needs a W to get into the playoffs. So those fights are good. And then, of course, we have the welterweights. We're talking about Magomed Karamov and Chris Curtis. I don't know if you know Chris Curtis. I think he was an LFA champion or RFA champion, and he was on the Contenders. He won his fight in Contenders. I don't know why he didn't get a contract, but he's really, really good. He's one of those guys. He's been training with Henderson and those guys for a long time. Now he's in Vegas with Extreme Couture there. And then the John Howard, Ray Cooper fight. That's like, as a fight fan, I know you appreciate that.
Those are excellent fights. So when is that?
That is on July 11th. That's next Thursday. And on ESPN2.
Okay.
And Plus.
Beautiful. Yeah, I'm around. I'm going to watch that fight. That sounds good.
I'm legit when we sit down for the broadcast, I'm texting you.
Okay. You got it.
Like, if you don't respond, I'm going to put you on blast on television.
I'll text you back.
I would say, this guy does, like, on ESPN Plus, we're on ESPN Plus, and Joe Rogan's nowhere to be found.
Oh, I can't have that happen. I'll be paying attention.
All right.
So that's so all the fights are going to be on ESPN Plus?
All the fights.
Sometimes when the ESPN2 fights, you can't get them on ESPN Plus unless you have it set up.
Okay, so a lot of times, so we bounce between ESPN Plus and 2. I don't know the format for the first fight. I can't remember which section of the card is on ESPN 2 and then on Plus. Oh, there it is.
There we go.
So we're on Plus at 5:30 to 8:30 East Coast time, and then on 2 from 8:30 to 10:30.
The great thing about ESPN, including with the UFC, is that so many sports fans just have ESPN on automatically.
Absolutely.
Like, I was at a pool hall on Saturday night. I did a show in Baltimore, and then we went to a pool hall. We got there right when Junior was entering into the octagon. It was perfect.
Yeah.
It was perfect timing. And I was like, don't blink, because this fucking probably ain't going to make it out of the first round.
Yeah, that was a fight. I was telling my grandmother about that fight.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not bullshitting you. She was
It's interesting, like, Francis wants another shot at the title. And, you know, it's I mean, I don't know why they wouldn't give him another shot at the title. In my opinion, it's like what you got now is Stipe versus DC. That irons out who's the champ, right? And thank God they made that fight instead of the Brock Lesnar fight. I mean, I think the Brock Lesnar fight would have been fun, and I love DC. I want him to get paid. I think he sends Brock Lesnar into another dimension. That's what I think happens in that fight. And I think he gets a big payday, and that's all great. But the reality is the real fight's Stipe. Stipe is the most successful UFC heavyweight champion of all time, the only guy to ever defend the title 4 times, and the only guy to survive the fucking hurricane that is Francis Ngannou.
Yeah.
The only guy.
Yeah.
He figured it out. Just weather the storm, just roll with the punches, kick the legs, jab, move, use your wrestling, wrestle. I mean, but he had to stop. He had to avoid the punches at first.
Yeah.
And he's got, that was an interesting thing, too. I was thinking the fight with Stipe, with Francis, how much did that take out of Stipe? Because even though he won that fight, when DC knocked him out with one punch, you're like, wow, that's crazy. Like, you don't see Stipe getting knocked out like that. I wonder if he was still suffering from the Ngannou fight, which is only like a few months before that.
I don't know if he was still suffering from that versus...
it's perfect punch, too.
That's the thing.
Yeah.
And DC talked about it. He talked about, we saw this being an option in this fight, this being an opportunity to get this, to land this shot. And he did it, That's the thing. If Francis, probably anybody with any power, of course, if Francis lands that shot, it's lights out also.
Yeah.
But he didn't see it, and he didn't have the skill set to provide that opportunity either, So I think that might be more telling than...
It was such a perfect punch, too.
Man.
He gets rid of the arm on the left side, then boom, the right hand comes over.
You got that kind of thing. That makes me appreciate the fight IQ of a guy like Cormier. You know what I mean? Because again, Ngannou, bigger puncher, but he just doesn't have the skill set that DC has. And seeing that, you remember him talking about that in the post fight.
Yeah,
that was something they saw, and to know that that's there and find that opportunity to make that opportunity happen, that's high level stuff, man. That's
high level stuff.
That's what the best guys do.
I heard that DC looks fantastic in camp. I heard he looks so good. But I'm really interested to see what a motivated, hungry, out for revenge Stipe can do. And
he knows to take that away.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
Is DC... He kind of got into it. He explained exactly what they saw and how they figured to use that against him. So, Stipe is also, like you said, he's the most decorated heavyweight champion. He's the most successful. That success didn't come from, not only his skill set, but also his mentality. Yeah. So he has to go back into the gym, break that down, take that out of his game. Make that not a thing.
And also now he knows that it's the title is everything. You lose the title, people don't even talk about you.
Yeah.
They stop talking about him.
Yeah.
I felt obliged. I felt like I had an obligation to talk about Stipe. I'm like, no one's talking about him. How are you not talking about the most successful heavyweight champion of all time?
Yeah. The guy who I understand him having to have one fight before getting a rematch, or he could have legitimately just got the rematch because of his resume as champion. I don't know. I don't like that part of fighting where you're only as good as your last fight.
Yeah, no, I don't like it either. I just feel like I get the business aspect of it. I get that, but I feel like a fighter like that, you gotta give him a rematch.
Yeah.
You have to.
He deserves it.
He's a champion, a legit champion. The guy says he wants a rematch. Set it up.
So, quick question where that's concerned. When you say that, right? Woodley, of course, you had GSP, you had Matt Hughes. They had long title runs also. But the fight with Kamaru was so dominant in that fight.
Yeah.
What does Woodley need to do to get a rematch?
That's an interesting question because it's a different thing, right?
Yep.
I guess it's a different thing, but is it really? I mean, is it really different to dominate a guy than to hit him with one punch? I mean, kind of is, but it's also you're dealing with a guy who is a long-time champion who dominated the division, a guy who, just blew Darren Till's title shot hopes up into smithereens. You know, that was the big one, right? Like the Darren Till one, because that one was confusing to me. I'm like, how is he the betting favorite? I don't understand it. I get it, he beat Cowboy, and I get he dropped Wonder Boy, but this is Tyron Woodley's a guy who's battle tested, man. He's been in there with everybody. Yeah. I felt that was one of the weirder believing the hype things in terms of like the bookmakers.
Yeah, and it worked out well for hardcore fans that you know
that knew. Yeah, you know. But yeah, Kamaru was so dominant. And then you got Colby Covington, who still has the claim to the interim. They took it away from him.
But he's fighting Robbie.
Yeah,
that's a fight. That's a fight I'm interested in because like we all used to train together. Mm-hmm. You know, there was when Robbie was getting ready for Johnny Hendricks. Remember, Colby's a wrestler.
Yeah,
and he's a southpaw.
Right.
You know, it was years ago, and Colby's grown a lot since then. But I mean, those guys spent a lot of time on the mat together a couple years ago, you know.
How do those training sessions go?
I can't tell you that.
Yes, you can. You don't even work for the organization anymore.
Yeah, but like one of them's an acquaintance and another one's a good friend.
Blink twice if Robbie fucked him up.
A steer cam.
You know what I like about it? Robbie looked physically fantastic in his last fight.
Yeah.
And I know he lost to Ben Askren. It was a crazy, controversial situation. I don't know, man. I went over it with Herb Dean. We watched the fight again when Herb was in here. I kind of believe him. The way his arm just dropped like that, I'm like, that seems like he was out.
I believe that Herb felt he was out. I don't think Robbie was out.
I think he was out for a second.
You think so?
Yeah, I think he was out for a second, and I think when Herb came over, then Ben let the choke up.
I'm going to watch that again in slow motion, but like you don't come back from a choke instantly.
Well, you do if he was letting the choke up while you were fighting. So if Herb's coming over and he thinks Robbie's out and he starts to let up and then the blood rushes to the brain and then Herb stops the fight and he lets it go and then he's up like nothing happened. Depends on how long you've been out. If you're out for only a second, it depends. It depends on how tight the choke is. Yeah. Is the blood kind of getting in there and then not getting in there?
I'm going to leave it alone because now we're getting into conjecture. I can't,
yes.
you know.
Yeah.
Like we're
Good
just
point.
guessing now.
Yeah, it was disappointing, but also if he just put him to sleep, that would have been definitive. But it was so confusing. We thought he was out, and then he wasn't out, and we were like, what? And then most people thought they had to run it back. Most people.
Yeah. I thought so too. Yeah. I'm surprised they're not, but I'm down for him and Masvidal.
Yes.
I like that fight.
Yes, I like that fight a lot because Masvidal can wrestle. And he's super crafty and he's mean as fuck. He's a mean man, you know?
I'm not going to lie, man. I'm going to tell you, of all the people I've trained with, I think overall when you put the entirety of mixed martial arts together, Masvidal might be the best.
Really?
Like his boxing is some of the best in the sport of mixed martial arts. He's not a kickboxer, but he's confident and comfortable with all the kicks. His wrestling is way beyond a guy who never wrestled. Like, you know, it's like he's like Division I level, you know, at the very least. And then his jiu-jitsu, people sleep on his jiu-jitsu, man. Masvidal is legit on the ground. The first day I went into American Top Team, we had fought each other before, and I figured, this guy's horrible on the ground. We just go. But I was surprised, and this was like 12 years ago, 10, 12 years ago, you know. And he's day in, day out. He's a worker. Like he's constantly working on his craft. He's constantly working to get better. Ben Askren, you know, he's got the ground. He's got the wrestling. But Masvidal's defensive wrestling is Askren going to be able to, you know, maul him like he's done to everybody else.
And he's got to close that distance.
Distance.
I mean, and on the feet, Masvidal has a giant advantage. Just giant.
He's good footwork.
Yeah.
Great hands.
But Askren has this crazy way of getting a hold of people. Even after Robbie was blasting his brains into another dimension, he still got up and was grabbing Robbie. It's like he has this ability to grab people and hold on to people. Like if you watch the Douglas Lima fight or the Koreshkov fight in Bellator, you're like, Jesus Christ. Like he ragdolls people. It's weird.
And he's hard to get away from.
Mm-hmm.
He's very hard to get away from. I remember when I first met Ben, I watched. He went to this tournament. He used to do tournaments in college just to get more pins, so he could have like the pin record. So he got the pin record for Missouri, for the University of Missouri. He used to, but he would also, with other high level wrestlers, he would just like let people take him down or let people in on his legs so that he can get into these scrambles with that funk stuff that he does.
Yeah.
He asked Dean Thomas one time. He's wrestling on that same trip. He's wrestling with Dean, and he just stops everything. He's like, "Do you know how to sprawl?" Like Dean didn't even know what a sprawl was because his wrestling is so good. He was touching us and we were falling over. You know what I mean?
Wow.
His wrestling is that good.
Well, that makes it even more impressive what Jordan Burroughs did to him. When Jordan Burroughs and him had that wrestling match, like there's levels. And he said it afterwards. He put it on his Instagram. There's levels to this. And there is, because he just ran him over.
Right through him. Like power doubles and everything.
Isn't it crazy just when you think about that a guy who's the elite of the elite in wrestling is so much better than the elite in wrestling and MMA.
In MMA, yeah.
It's just so much better.
Yeah. But would he have still been able to do that the same way if Ben was only wrestling?
That's
over
a big
those
question.
years?
It's hard to say because Jordan's so good.
Yeah.
He's so dominant. It's hard to say.
Are you talking about what? 2-time Olympic champion?
Yeah. And he's unbelievably explosive too. And you ever seen his workouts?
Yeah.
All plyos, drills, explosive drills, and he's just all about closing that distance with just ferocious energy. Boom!
That dude crosses that distance like it's not even there.
God damn, he's
like
good.
He teleports.
I was hoping he was going to get into MMA, but it doesn't seem like he wants to.
No, I honestly, when he was still in school, so one of my buddies, Lynn Oding, he was reaching out. This is how I met Tyron. He was reaching out to Division I wrestlers for me to help me with my wrestling after the Joe Stevenson fight because I was like, I can't wrestle, right? And Jordan Burroughs was one of the guys that he reached out to, and he was just not interested in MMA at that point. He was like, I'm going to the Olympics. I'm going to wrestle. He had no interest. I don't know where that stands now because the sport is bigger. There's more money in it.
Yeah.
But he's still having so much success wrestling.
Right. And who knows how much time, if any, he's put into striking.
Yeah. But like that IQ of his as far as wrestling and that athleticism, he's a hard worker.
Oh, yeah. It will apply if he dedicates himself to it. Yeah. But if he hasn't at all, he's so far behind the 8 ball. Like if he jumps in now with zero striking, like how long would it take before he gets to a comfortable level of striking where he can hang in there? Like remember Kamaru when he first started fighting was really just a wrestler. Yeah. But then you really saw in the Tyron fight when he almost stopped Tyron on the feet. His striking is legit now. His
fight with Sergio Moraes. That was where I started to recognize his striking's improving. And you could see it. If you watch his fights from then, you can see it each time, a vast improvement in his striking. But what I like about that is his wrestling didn't really fade. His wrestling still stayed sharp.
Yeah.
And that's where I'm like, how do you do that? Because there's only so much hours in the day.
Well, what's also crazy with him is he can't run. His knees are so fucked up.
I didn't know that.
He doesn't even care to talk. He doesn't mind talking about it. He's like, Joe, my knees were so fucked up, I'd have to walk on the grass because I couldn't walk on the concrete because it hurt too much.
How do you fight at that level? Like if you can't run?
I don't understand. Well, he just does like airdyne, bike.
But I mean, how do they even work inside the octagon if you can't run on it?
Tough. Just tough. Unbelievable mental toughness. I mean, I think he gets in there, he just forces his body to do whatever he wants it to do.
Did you ask him if he feels any pain when he's fighting?
He's in pain the whole time.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
You never see it. Well, he had a broken foot in that fight.
Yeah.
But that's the kind of, there's like a mindset that some people have.
Yeah.
The champion mindset with all that stuff means nothing. And he had hernias. He had hernia surgery after the fight. I mean, what the fuck, man?
That's some different shit,
it's
man.
Like Jordan Burroughs says, there's levels. There's levels to the mental game too. There's like some guys can just push through everything, and some guys will find a reason why they have to get out.
Yeah,
Yeah,
there's that being in that moment, and like now means everything.
Mm-hmm.
There is no tomorrow.
Yep.
It's like I try to keep that mentality also in some of the things that I try to do now because, like, it was like. I'm this kid from the Bahamas, There's no reason that somebody in Japan should know my name but because of mixed martial arts, because of my dedication to the sport, because I wanted to be something in that happened. So it's like you just have to have that mentality of, if I'm on a boat if I'm in the Bahamas, I'm on a boat and my boat sinks and I'm out in the middle, I'm 20 miles from land. Like, if I don't get to land, it's not because I failed. I mean, it's not because I quit. It's because I failed.
Right.
You know? So, like, that mentality, that's how I look at guys like that. Guys who just have no quit in them. I feel like Uriah's like Faber's like that. You know?
The Mike Brown fight. Perfect example. He broke both his hands.
Yeah.
And was still throwing elbows, kicks, trying to take him down, doing anything he could. 2 broken hands.
Tony Ferguson
is an animal. You know? An animal.
Like that.
He's the scariest guy at 155 in my word.
I agree.
In my world. Because he don't get tired.
Yeah.
That Cowboy fight freaked me out. Cowboy looked like Tony had bricks in his gloves.
Yeah.
His face was all busted up. Tony didn't look like he had a scratch on him, and Tony wasn't even tired.
Tony posted a meme, I feel like a couple days ago. He showed like his last 7 opponents.
Yeah, they're all fucked up. Like they all fell off a train. Yeah, it's crazy, man. He has insane power, man. It's like, it's a weird thing because Tony does stuff to people and he doesn't get tired.
He doesn't get he's legit crazy.
Yes.
Like, he doesn't. Like, I don't know if he feels pain. That kind of crazy. You know what I mean? Like, he will do things in there that I remember when we fought. I'm southpaw, he's orthodox, right? He throws that inside kick, and I'm turning my leg over to check it. And, like, it was never at my knee. He was throwing that at my shin. Like, if you're throwing that calf kick with that open stance, you're throwing it at the shin.
Right.
You know what I mean? So, like, I checked it. And I was about to check, and then we banged shin to shin, like the middle of the shin to the middle of his shin. And I remember thinking to myself, why the fuck would you do that? Now we're both hurting. Like, I seriously hated that feeling. But he did, like, there was no reaction on his face. There was nothing. He was just like, still on, just on to the next thing. And I feel like I'm glad I fought him then, because, like, look at him now. He's like psychotic, you know?
Yeah, look at that. Tony Ferguson's last 7 opponents. Jesus Christ.
Like, they're all bloody messes.
Even like the things he posts, like, you get an insight to how crazy his mind is. Like,
did you see his press conference after surgery after Anthony Pettis?
No.
Yeah, he was talking about how he was going to be a doctor. He said, I think he said something like, what did he say? He said, he said, you know what they call me? Because he's like, yeah, he's a GQ guy. He was talking about Anthony. He's like, he's a GQ guy. But you know what they call me? They call me the GQ Killer. You know what that is? It's an awesome nickname.
I would like to see what his conditioning workout is, because Eddie goes with him up to Big Bear, you know, and he trains with him, and he says, "You never seen anything like it." He said, everybody else in the camp can't keep up with him. He works out, he goes, I've never seen anybody have this kind of dedication in gas tank. He said he works out a legitimate 6 hours a day. And he says he's running hills. They do these hill sprints, and he said he laps everybody. He goes all the way to the top before they do, goes down, and then beats them on the way up. He said he just doesn't get tired.
Yeah.
I don't understand. What is someone doing when their cardio is so much better than everybody else's? Because the Cowboy fight, I'm telling you, man, I watched him from the moment they stopped the fight. After the second round, I'm watching him, and he goes back to his corner. Cowboy's face is a mess. He's just beating the shit out of Cowboy. He goes back to his corner. His stomach isn't even heaving.
Yeah.
He's not breathing heavy.
I'm not going to lie to you. As I don't want to see this fight because I like both those guys, but as a fight fan, I want to see this fight, and that's him and Dustin.
Oh, him and Dustin would be insane.
Because like those are 2 guys who don't know how to quit.
Well, if Dustin beats Khabib, that's the fight.
Yeah.
And if Dustin doesn't beat Khabib, Tony and Khabib's the fight.
Yeah.
They'll fight eventually, I'm sure. Yeah, I mean, that is a crazy ass fight. But the thing is, like, Tony's pace is so disturbing. It's so disturbing because I watch him fight guys, and I'm like, how do you keep up with that? Like, nobody keeps up with it. Like, you got to crack him. You got to catch him. Like, Anthony caught him, but he broke his hand. But Pettis had him hurt, and Lando had him hurt. Lando Venata cracked him.
I remember
had him
that.
Hurt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but like...
He knows how to survive, though.
Yeah, exactly. And also, it's weird because he doesn't survive like most people do. He doesn't tie you up and try to recollect himself. like he just still fights.
Yeah.
And he instead like
scrambles.
You hurt him, he puts it on you.
Yeah.
He's like, okay, I need a break. Meaning, I'm coming after you now. Like, you're gonna have to stop me from killing you, so that I can breathe.
Take a break. I'm always stunned at his pace and his cardio. It's amazing. I just want to know, is this scientifically planned? Like, are they monitoring his heart rate, or is this just psychotic? Like, is it scientific or is it psychotic?
I think it's the latter.
I think it might be.
I Tony Ferguson. If this was a scary movie, Tony Ferguson would be that guy.
He's El Cucuy.
Yeah,
he's the boogeyman.
They need to make a movie out. Like, somebody needs to do some kind of, like, I don't know, mashup of his fights that make him seem like the Jason, the guy that just never goes away, and as soon as you turn around, he's ready to kill you.
Well, you just think about Luke Thomas posted some tweet where the last time Tony Ferguson won, like, who was champion and what was going on in the world. It was like 2013 is the last time he lost. And he lost to Michael Johnson, who also beat Dustin. Yeah. Yeah, that was Dustin's last loss as well. That much more recent, though. Yeah, much more recent. That was here in L.A. Was it the Forum? Was it? Yeah. But that fight also, where Dustin's concerned, now, like we propped up Tony, so I got to give Dustin some props, because like, that's the thing about mixed martial arts. First of all, there's not a lot of guys who have some successes, and then they get stopped. Then successes, and then they get stopped. And successes, and then they get stopped. And then since that, like, but every time he got stopped or every time he lost, he made adjustments, made improvements, and got better. Sure. And that was the last one, and then he had the debacle with Eddie with the disqualification, and the knock on him going into that was, you know, when he hurts somebody, he doesn't necessarily know how to finish. He gets too aggressive, you know, he goes crazy. That fight, then he gets Gaethje, where it's like, if you hurt him and you go crazy, you're putting yourself at risk. So that was the perfect fight to demonstrate that he learned the lesson, and he did. Yeah, you know. So, like, I don't know really what the knock on him is now. I remember this is something that I didn't want to say this to him because he doesn't watch a lot of his opponents and their press stuff. But I remember a long time ago, DC had Khabib on the Fox desk, and he was talking to him. He's asking him about opponents. He was like, "What do you think of this guy? What do you think of this guy?" And he said, "Just give me one word answers." And he said, "Dustin Poirier." And he goes, "Easy fight." Whoa. And I'm like, yeah, I want to see this fight now, you know. I wonder if he thinks that after the Holloway fight, though. That was an eye opener for a lot of folks. Yeah. But Holloway fought Dustin the way Dustin would look the best. He stood in front of him. Holloway doesn't have the same knockout power that Dustin has. Dustin has, like, real legit one-punch power. Yeah. Max beats you up. Yeah. He just puts a pace on you, beats your ass, and takes you out. But also, I don't think Max has the same kind of power at 155. At 145, he's just so much bigger than everybody. At 155, he's their size, and Dustin's a big 55er. Yeah, Dustin is a big 55er. I can't say I agree about the power, only because Dustin's been knocked out, but he does have a chin. You know, he can take a shot. No, but I'm not just saying he doesn't. I know. You're not. Max has never knocked anybody out with one shot. He beats guys up and then takes them apart. Yeah, no, you're right. You're right. Dustin's capable of flatlining you. Yeah. He can flatline people with one shot. Yeah. You don't really see that much with Max. Max, he's sharp. He's super sharp, super high fight IQ, and just makes you fight wars with him. But he was fighting a war with a guy who had higher caliber weapons. That's what it seemed like in that fight. And Dustin just fought real smart. Great boxing, and capitalized on these openings and really stung Max in a way that we haven't seen before. And good footwork too. If you remember, Max was using his footwork early in that fight, but everywhere he went, Dustin was there too. Mm-hmm. You know, and there are sometimes it's not maybe not even a conscious decision where it's like, well, it doesn't matter. Like, wherever I go, he's going to be there anyway, so then this is what we're doing. Right. You know? I'm not just going to keep running around now.
You know, so he might have made Max decide to stay in front of him like he did towards the second and third, fourth.
The difference is with Khabib, obviously, is the grappling.
Yeah.
That's Khabib's bread and butter. He's so fucking terrifyingly good. When he clinches you, it's like you see these guys, they have this look on their face like, what is this? This is a new experience. This is a different kind of grappling.
And he immobilizes people.
Yeah.
Like, he gets you in positions that, like, you literally, you can't go left, you can't go right.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he's got that wrist wrap on the backside and a half guard on the front side. So you can't turn to your right, but you also can't turn to your left. It's like, and he straps you down, man.
Like, that's shit out of you.
Like, how do you, like, that's what I hope Dustin works on right now, like just sealing off, not allowing Khabib to get those underhooks on the ground, not allowing Khabib to get around his body, and just get back to his feet if he gets taken down. And I mean, we saw some of the. We know that Khabib's not the greatest striker. You know, we saw Ali Quinta do some damage on the feet in, I think, the third or fourth round of that fight.
He definitely showed where Khabib, if he has any vulnerability, it's going to be in the striking.
Right.
But he didn't really hurt him. Never hurt him once. I mean, the only person to ding him is Michael. Michael Johnson dinged him once.
Yeah.
But he recovered from that quickly and beat the shit out of Michael, especially on the ground.
I also think Dustin is more of a predator. Like he's like, I think Ali Quinta is good on his feet. He's boxing solid. He hits hard. But I think just Dustin's boxing IQ, like if he hurts you, especially now, I think if he hurts you, he's smarter about being able to finish. And with the power that he carries, he's more selective with his weapons.
Interesting.
Know? So, like that's definitely a big option. If he can show that he can hurt Khabib standing, then he has a very good shot of stopping him there. But what does that mean to stop Khabib? Like, you know what I mean? Like, not.
Is it possible?
I think, but you know what? I think you have to, because, like, how do you beat that wrestling over 25 minutes?
Right. How do you keep him from taking you down over and over and over again? Just getting back up is not good enough.
Yeah.
Because he's going to keep taking you down. That's a real good point, because he's been able to do that to every single person he's fought inside the octagon. I mean, even when Conor stopped a little bit of it early on, I mean, it was a matter of time.
Yeah. And that's that whole Gregor thing, man.
Yep.
Like, I hope Gregor's watching this and he's like, man, I should do that, because Yves calling me out.
Is Yves in? Is Dustin rather in Florida?
Yeah, he just. So I was in Texas last week. I drove down to New Orleans, to Lafayette, Youngsville, to talk to him, to record that podcast. We trained some. He made me. I'm like an hour away, and he's like, all right, you're running practice. I'm like, I'm fat. I don't know what to do. I haven't trained in like weeks. But he came in, we did that, and then he was leaving for Florida that Friday. So he's been there for about a week now, almost a week now.
And the fight is, what's the date of the fight?
The fight is September 7th, Abu Dhabi.
Dun dun dun.
You're not going to that.
Nope.
So if you do Fight Companion, I'd love to come in for that.
Because if we do a Fight Companion, I'll have you in.
Because Dustin's my boy, man.
I'm gonna find out if I'm even in town. I might be on the road.
You're going to be in AC very soon, huh?
I was just there.
Oh, okay, that's what
I was just there this past weekend.
Okay.
Oh yeah. No, I'm home. If I'm still home, as of right now, I'm home. But if I'm still home, we have a Fight Companion. You're in, fella.
All right.
That'll be fun.
I'm down to be there, especially if I don't go to Abu Dhabi. I would love to be there for that, but that's Abu Dhabi.
It'll be interesting too. You know him so well, to get your insight on that.
He's the only guy repping Thug Jitsu right now.
That's right.
I love where, like, he's like, I'm telling Bruce to mark me down as a Thug Jitsu fighter.
That's
like, he came up under Tim Crater, who's.
That's right.
Yeah,
Crazy Tim.
Crazy Tim, man.
I remember Tim from the Jean-Jacques Machado days, like way back in the day. I first saw Crazy Tim. I never got to train with him, but he came down in like 98?
Yep.
Somewhere around there?
Yep.
98-ish?
When Tim started training with me, I was coaching him. We went to some fights in Boston. I'm sitting next to the commission, and Tim's fighting this guy, and he's working on a stand-up with me, and they're trading, and the guy takes him down. And when the guy takes him down, I look at the commissioner and I grab like all this stuff and I'm like, well, that's the end of that. I start putting everything in the bucket, and then the commissioner, like, I don't know, before I even got my head up, like Tim tapped him, and the commissioner was like, "You called that one, didn't you?"
There's some shit that you just know.
Yeah.
Right. Especially at a certain level of fights, there's some shit that you just know.
Yeah.
That's one of the more interesting things about high level fights and high level fighters is you don't know anymore.
No, it's so like because now everybody knows the same thing.
Unless you have that checkmate card like Francis. Like, no disrespect to Junior, but I did not think that fight was going to get out of the first round. I had a feeling it was going to go that way.
Yeah.
And that's what I said to all my friends. I said, if I had to bet my money, anything can happen. It's a crazy sport. But if I had to bet my money, I'd bet the house on the big fella.
Yeah.
Because he just does shit to people.
Yeah, no, like I said, with that guy, man, those only takes one guys. They're scary.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and Junior's style wasn't necessarily the style to avoid and counter that.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like that for me, like the Jeremy Stevens fight was like that. Jeremy Stevens is he's that one punch kind of thing,
Mm-hmm.
and you just have to make sure that they miss and just pick your shots. And for me, it was fortunate that like. I caught him running into something too.
Right.
I do have one punch power, but I don't pack power like Dustin does, you know?
Mm-hmm.
I would say my power is more, if we're talking about the best guys
Precision.
today, yeah, more about precision, more closer to like Max's in the sense of like
Mm-hmm.
I would pick you apart, but like all the knockouts, they came from like volume or catching you slipping, you know, catching you coming in or something like that.
Yeah.
And but like, so I don't know who's at heavyweight who fights like that.
Nobody. You'd have to get a Rico Verhoeven. You'd have to get someone who's like a world-class striker who Rico's had some MMA fights and he's still the Glory heavyweight champion and he's also a big giant dude. But then again, man, he's been fighting with those big gloves and he's been stopped before. Could he handle it? I mean, if he stands in front of Francis, could he handle it?
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't think any human handles it.
Yeah.
You got to get a guy like Stipe that just knows how to get the fuck out of there.
I think Francis could knock out an elephant.
He probably could.
I'm serious. At least a baby elephant. Right?
Yeah, a little elephant. That's fucked up though. Hit the baby elephant. Even thinking about that is fucked up. Yeah, I don't think there's anybody he can't knock out. Which is really interesting if he decided to go to boxing. He's one of those guys where you go, if he really decided to go to boxing,
Who hits harder? Him or
well,
Broner?
Deontay hits
Deontay
fucking hard.
Right?
Deontay hits so goddamn hard. It's hard to tell because Deontay has fought the cream of the crop in boxing and he's knocked out 39 dudes. He's 40 and what is he like? 40 and 1? 40 and 0.
39 knockouts.
Well, how's he 40 and 0?
Oh, he's got one loss.
The Tyson Fury fight was a draw.
Oh, 40
So it's 40 0 and 1.
Yeah.
And 39 knockouts. Stavern was the only one the first fight where it went the distance, and then he nuked him in the second fight.
Huh.
Yeah, the first time they fought, it went to I believe that's the case. Is that who did he have a decision with? Does it say there? You can look in his Wikipedia.
That's
He hits harder than anybody I've ever seen in the heavyweight division in this modern era outside of Tyson.
I feel like I should call him CTE. Like for real. Remember they did that study on the NFL bodies and they did like 111 bodies and 110 of them had CTE.
Yeah.
39 out of 40.
Yeah, he's giving people some real problems.
Just the
You're
one.
his remains Stavern. His first fight against him.
Stavern was the only one that went the distance. Everybody else gets nuked. Boom.
Yeah.
And he hits guys. They just go flying. You know, like the fact that Tyson Fury got up after that 12th round, like Jesus Christ.
Yeah, that was
Crazy.
Yeah, that was like Gypsy King stuff.
Crazy. Like,
it was
like
ridiculous.
yeah, voodoo. Like he had like a extra chicken bone in his fucking shorts.
Because you see, like if you like, I don't know. For me, I noticed those things. Like when we were watching that thing with Sage and Cosmo, right?
Mm-hmm.
When Sage went down, and then after Cosmo hit him, like his body like didn't give up. Like they get shut off on him, but like he was trying to get up.
Yeah.
Like he was getting up to fight back, right?
Yeah.
Because if you're not getting up to fight back, you're covering up, right?
Right,
But
right.
he's trying to get up. Same thing where Tyson Fury goes down, the referee's in his face and he's counting him out, and you see his head. You see his head go.
Right.
And he just gets up.
Just gets
like
up.
He would like
it was over. I thought it was over.
I did too.
I was watching it at home.
I was celebrating.
Yeah.
I was like, I won. I'm make some money.
I was watching it at home, and my thought was, God damn, he knocked him out in the 12th round. How the fuck does that guy carry that power like that in the 12th round? And then Tyson's back up, and then he wins the rest of the round. That was even crazy. Deontay bombs on him. He hits him with some hard shots, and then Tyson comes back and dings him.
Yeah.
And you see he catches him.
Yeah, he did. He wobbled him for a second.
Yeah, and I'm like, this is unbelievable. What a fight.
That was probably the best heavyweight boxing fight I've seen. I can't
Look at
remember
this.
one
He
better.
said, Tyson Fury says, put it this way. He hits 4 times harder than Vitaly Klitschko. He hits 5 times harder than Vladimir Klitschko. He hits 6 times harder than Anthony Joshua. And he hits 8 times harder than Tyson Fury. Well, who said that?
This guy here, Richard Towers.
Oh, okay. He's a sparring partner for him. Oh, I thought that was Tyson Fury's quote. Yeah. Well, that's probably accurate. It says, is Deontay Wilder a stronger puncher than a prime George Foreman? The thing about Deontay is he knocks everyone out. He's not winning any decisions except one. I mean, there's nobody like that. You even go back to Tyson. Tyson, when he fought a lot of dudes that went to decision.
Yeah.
And he beat their asses, but they went to decision.
I wouldn't mind Tyson getting into his camp and just kind of mentoring him a bit. Like Mike Tyson, I feel like somebody like that would really help a guy like Deontay. I mean, it's not like he needs a lot of help,
Right.
but like somebody like Mike Tyson being around, just having him to like call on and talk to sometimes.
Tyson doesn't really want to have anything to do with boxing anymore, though, it seems.
And maybe not even in the gym. Maybe just somebody to talk to once in a while.
Just
and
for
maybe
life?
some strategy. Maybe even about strategy sometimes, you know? Because I don't know. I forget exactly what it was, but there was a moment when I was watching Deontay Wilder, and then there was something, I think when Mike was in here, something he was talking about that I was just like, man, those two should get connected.
That's interesting.
I was a long time ago. When I was living in Texas. I got a phone call at like 2 a.m. and one of my buddies, my buddy Lynn Oding, and I was like, I don't want to answer that, man. I'm sleeping in bed with my wife. I'm sleeping. These calls, and then the next morning I listen to my voicemail, and he's like, Eve, if you get this, call me back. I'm in, like, he was in a club, and he's like, somebody wants to talk to you, and he has the phone. He's like, Yves Edwards. I was so pissed.
God.
I was like, man, I missed a phone call from Mike Tyson. Like, he ran into him in a club or something. I was like, Mike Tyson knows my name?
Dude, I met him at the UFC, and he's like, you're that weed guy.
No, he's that weed guy.
Well, he was into weed back then, but it was like, that's what he said. He goes, I like you, man. You're funny. I'm like, thank you. So glad you like me. And then having him in here was so surreal because when I was a kid, he was the fucking man.
Yeah.
I mean, he was you'd pay to see his fights just to watch him fuck somebody up. It wasn't a fight. It was an execution. You would watch him execute guys. Yeah. He was the man.
He was the man.
He changed heavyweight boxing. People don't realize that heavyweight boxing in the early 80s was dead. Nobody cared because Larry Holmes, after he beat Muhammad Ali, everybody was sad. It was like a sad thing. Like there was a changing of the guard. Larry Holmes beat the shit out of Muhammad Ali, and Larry Holmes never got his due. He never got his due. He was so good, man.
Yeah.
Larry was so good. He had one of the best jabs of all time. He was so good. But people were still upset at him because he fucked up Muhammad Ali. He was the champ after the greatest. You know, and Muhammad Ali wasn't just the greatest in terms of like the greatest fighter. He was a cultural icon.
Yeah.
He meant something to people. It was something.
I
mean, everyone knew the guy was out for 3 years because he protested the Vietnam War. Everybody fucking hated the Vietnam War, especially people who went to Vietnam hated the Vietnam War. And they got it, man. And he meant a lot. He meant a lot. So when Larry Holmes came around, it's like, man, Larry just never got his due. Never got his due.
That era of boxing, I remember going back watching tape and doing that. And that's one thing I appreciate about Tyson. You know,
Yes.
like he was a student.
Yes. Thank God he knew Jim Jacobs, who had that crazy library that he could get all that. Jim Jacobs was the guy who curated, like, he has every old-time fight, all of them. He would watch Sugar Ray Robinson and Jack Dempsey.
And he's watching, like, Willie Pep, and he's not only watching, like, the heavyweights.
Yeah, he watched Harry Greb. He watched all those guys, all his old school, and weird, obscure fighters, guys that most people don't remember anymore.
Yeah, that era of boxing was very different.
Sandy Sadler and, all those guys. He would watch all those guys. Yeah, that era of boxing before him was terrible. It's like you had champs like Pinklin Thomas and Tony Tubbs, and no one cared about the heavyweight division. And then he came along and just started blasting people. And you're like, finally.
I remember I was like 7 or 8 years old. I met Trevor Berbick. He was down in the Bahamas for a fight. And that's who Tyson took his belt from, right? Got his first belt from.
20 years old.
Yeah. That
crazy.
Like 20.
20.
Now you're the heavyweight champion of
the world. And then, that was the thing, talking to him about it, like, what was that like? And it's just, there's no way he can manage it. No one can manage that. You're going to go crazy.
I feel like his career and his life would have been very different if Cuss didn't die when he did.
I think so, too.
Yeah.
I think so, too. It's a tragic story, but it's also like there's so many lessons in that story. It's like for all of us, it's like there's a lot to learn, what happened when it got all the way to Buster Douglas, when it was like he felt like he can't lose. And he was in this rare state. You know?
Yeah. Like his life, like he's had so many ups and downs, and as the heavyweight champion, and like to be somebody that's the heavyweight champion of the world, somebody with so many eyes on them, the Robin Givens, that whole saga in his life, I remember I forget was it Oprah when they were being interviewed, and they were on the show, and he just kind of looked like. I feel like Mike Tyson in that interview was like those tigers that people walk with that they drug.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, perfect. Like, perfect way to describe it.
Man.
They probably medicated him.
Yeah. Because he did not look, he just didn't seem like the Mike Tyson who I was a fan of.
Right.
Like, I didn't dislike him in that moment. I was just like, what's wrong with him?
Meanwhile, who the fuck? I mean, it had to be her idea. If I was his friend, I'm like, why are you going to talk to Barbara Streisand?
Yeah,
or
that's
Barbara Walters, whoever it was. Get the fuck out of here. Same thing. Barbara Streisand, Barbara Walters to me. Same. You're talking to some old lady. You're the fucking heavyweight champion of the world. Get out of here with that talk. Yeah. No. This is nonsense. And you're going to bring your wife? What? What are you doing? What benefit is there?
Yeah, it was well, I can't say definitely, but my assumption is it was Robin Givens.
She emasculated him. Yeah, she emasculated him in front of the world, and and I think afterwards he realized what happened. He was furious.
Yeah,
but it's like that life is unmanageable. The life that he lived back then was unmanageable. He was the fucking king of the world. He was in his 20s. He was buck wild, just going crazy, flatlining people. Everywhere he went, people would throw rose petals at his feet and screaming, cheering fans. It's unmanageable. He's too young.
Imagine being a poor, adopted black kid.
With no love in your life until you're 13.
Until you're 13. And then you come into all of this money because you're the best fighter in the world. Like, what could he possibly be afraid of then, too?
Nothing.
Right?
Yeah, pet tigers, bro. He'd wrestle with them. I mean, that was the crazy thing of him talking about when he found out that he could get a tiger.
Yeah.
It's like, what? I could get a tiger? But he's so humble now. It's so interesting. And one of the more interesting things that he said is he doesn't train because he doesn't want to fire his ego up. He's like, I don't like that part of me. I don't want that part of me to come out again. I don't want it.
Wasn't there video of him, like I understand he doesn't train anymore, but wasn't there video of him, I think last year, just before he came in here and spoke to you, where he was hitting the heavy bag?
I think it was a little bit longer ago than that, but yeah, he was doing it for something. He still can crack.
Man.
Yeah. Still scary.
Power is the last thing.
Well, do you ever see that scene? He's doing a movie, and there's a scene in a bar. They're doing something, and he just shows them a combination. He just punches in the air, no warm-up, lightning fast, jab, hook, uppercut, right hand. It's like, yikes. It's all still there.
Man.
And 50 years old. Still fuck you up.
And that was like, he was the heavyweight champion of my childhood,
Yes,
like
mine too.
Muhammad Ali came before, but
again, Larry Holmes just doesn't get the credit. It's like, for whatever reason, it's just like, in the first round when Tyson fought Larry Holmes, it made me think, like, damn, what would it have been like if Larry was in his fucking prime? Because when they fought, Larry was like 36 or something like that, somewhere around there. It was already kind of over for him.
Yep.
And Mike was Mike. I mean, Mike was black shoes, no socks. There it is right here. Why is she...
And then the weave.
Yeah. I mean, he just can't help. I mean, that was like built into his system, you know? Fuck.
That head movement was deadly.
He was such an interesting guy, too, because he was only like he's probably like 5'10", 5'11", I think. He's like 5'10 and a half, something like that. But to be a heavyweight and just so low and bobbing and weaving and moving in, and everybody was like, Jesus!
Yeah.
Like you see him coming out, you're
like his head's right in your chest.
And then he's ripping your body and then uppercut, that right hook to the body and then uppercut behind it that he used on everybody. He used it on Frank Bruno. He used it on everybody. Boom! Whack! Right up the middle.
Who hits harder, him or Francis?
Francis.
Really?
Francis hits harder. Yeah, he hits harder. I think so. I think Mike Tyson was a way better boxer.
Yeah.
But I think if Mike Tyson can hit like Francis does, Francis just has to clip you. He just, like, look what he did to Junior. He just grazed him. Obviously, they're different gloves. Obviously, I just think Francis is such a way bigger man. Yeah. You know, Mike at his prime was like 209, 215, around then.
I remember on Punch Out. Like, I never beat him. Never beat him. I'm still pissed about that.
Well, you know, Deontay, when he fought Tyson Fury, he told me he only weighed 209. That's what he weighed.
How tall is he? He looks like he's 6.
Fuck.
Yeah.
He's like 6'6", at least. Yeah.
That's crazy.
It's crazy. But I still, I mean, I want to see Deontay Wilder punch that thing that the UFC has. I have one of those out here. Those what is it called again? The
punchometer.
The punchometer.
That's how I found that thing. I was looking for someone talking about his punching power somewhere, if there's any gauge of it.
Well, the thing is, I would never let him punch it if I was his trainer. I'm like, what if you break your hand? You know, like, what if you fuck yourself up trying to just hit something as hard as you can? I mean, he's the goose that lays the $1 billion egg.
Yeah.
Deontay, if he keeps going, right, like where he's at right now, he has become the motherfucking man, you know, especially with that last fight with Dominic Brazil.
Yeah.
He sent him into orbit after the Tyson Fury fight. You realize, like, okay, this guy's the fucking man, right? You want to see him fight Andy Ruiz. You want to see him fight Tyson Fury again. You want to see him fight Joshua if Joshua comes back. He's worth so much money now.
Yeah.
I'd be like, don't be punching things.
They did do, so I guess on that, it's the Fox thing where they test punching. I think it's Fox. Mm-hmm. They tested punching power, and they actually do have Wilder on this, and I guess Andy Ruiz recently just broke it.
Really?
Yeah. Here
but see that those.
I know
things,
it's like a game.
Those
so
are silly.
I don't know how accurate.
Let me
it is,
see what Andy Ruiz can fucking
he
punch.
Just ate a Snickers too or something.
Did he? He's got a mouthful of food. And what's he got?
He gets up to 9 something plus, and I think Wilder's was at 927, 928.
Okay, but I'm telling you that don't mean shit.
I know.
It's a matter of how you punch it, and it just slams up into me with Snickers. Is he trying to get a development deal, a sponsorship with Snickers? That's hilarious. I love Andy Ruiz. He's coming here. We got him. We got him for the end of the month. Nice. I'm very excited.
Man,
that fight was crazy.
Yeah, Anthony Joshua, like
see that punching power record, that shit ain't real. You got to hit that thing like I have out there where you really can tell.
Even that you got to hit perfectly too, kind of. You got to have a sweet spot.
Oh, you have a different thing.
I have the one that Francis hit.
Oh, okay.
The one that the UFC Performance Institute has, where Francis broke the record for the hardest punch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How many lightweights have you had hit that?
None. The only person who hit it besides Francis is Joe Schilling.
And you.
Yeah.
Brian Callen fucking around.
Brian Callen. How dare he?
Brian's got a lot of knockout power, huh?
Yeah. All right. It's 3 o'clock. Let's wrap this up. So one more time, PFL is next the 11th.
Thursday the 11th.
Thursday the 11th.
ESPN and ESPN Plus.
So ESPN Plus, if you don't have it, get it. It's an awesome app. If you like fights, it's got fucking everything. All sorts of old school Canelo, Triple G fights, all sorts of UFC fights. It's a great app. Yeah. It's a great app. And then it's on ESPN2 for the main card.
And then Plus.
And
check out SubFam.
And Thugjitsu MMA. What is your Twitter handle?
Thugjitsu Master.
Thugjitsu Master. That's right. Me. And what is is that the same for Instagram too?
Instagram, Twitter. Yeah,
everything.
That's me. Everything.
Beautiful. And your new podcast out today.
Sup, fam? Out today.
Fam. Out today, right there.
You're on YouTube right now.
Thank you, brother.
Thank you,
Appreciate you, man. Yves Edwards, ladies and gentlemen. Goodbye.